Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
For taking the time to join us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us tonight as we are one day away from another cruise into some sunshine. And summertime finally seems to be getting around here at SOR headquarters. Steve Shippy is our guest tonight. We're talking paranormal and supernatural occurrences in the beautiful state of Michigan. We'll get to him momentarily. And Dirty Filth will be here for drawing some art as well. Before we get things going, let's get the roll call going on here. Roy Boy in the gold medal position. Dogface Boy, a.k.a. Simon, kicking off the Super Chat and taking home a silver medal tonight. Thank you, Simon, for your love and support with a hat trick of Super Chats coming up. We really do appreciate it. Race Fan takes home the bronze medal tonight, and we appreciate that. John Hinoyosa, nice to see you. Hi, Awesome Ann B. Nice to have you back in here. Jurassic Joey, good to see you. John Swan, Dirty Filth, good to have you all here. Hallie, nice to have you back. And Sweetly Morbid Bear, looking gorgeous tonight. Sweetly Morbid Bear will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Moving on here in roll call. Hello, gorgeous Aussie Ange. Thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciate your love of SOR. Thank you. I hope you're still having fun stranded in Vegas. And Black Dragon, good to have you here. One of the favorite veterans who listens to this show. We love our veterans around here. Black Dragon is one of the best of them. And Arlen Forest People, looking good tonight. D. Cone and DC, how are you? And who else is here? Awesome Ann Palmer. Thanks for coming on in. And lovely Lisa Compton. Good to see you. And who else do we got here? Well, let's scroll on down and let's take a look here. Well, there's Kentucky Robert. And Evan Walters is here. He says, I am here. You can all relax. He'll sign autographs later. If you line up to the right of the studio for Evan, to the right, do not make eye contact. He will not sign for you if you make eye contact tonight. Alaric 87, good to have you back. Thank you for coming on in. Downshift, thank you for joining us. A Muse, always a pleasure. And who else is here tonight? We have, scrolling on down, Dennis Zuniga is here, another great veteran who listens to this show. Thank you so much for your service, Dennis. And Grantavius, how's your mustache? Give us an update if you don't mind. The gorgeous Dizzy Me, Uncle Dale and his Power Stash are here. If you see Uncle Dale in Austin, Texas, rub his Power Stash for good luck right through the 4th of July, if you don't mind. We'd appreciate it. Bigfoot Michigan Rob, Joshua Godson, good to see you both here. Hello, gorgeous Chris Teen, nice to have you here. Appreciate it. Luscious Jules, thanks for coming on in. The lovely Jenny, always a pleasure. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby, which means we can officially start the show. Nicholas Shaughnessy, how's your hair tonight? Hey, bud, sorry about your loss of your puppy. I know what that's like, and it sucks, but I hope you're doing okay. Rose Brooks, thank you for coming on in. Radiohead, nice to see you. And who else is showing up here? Let's take a look. Gordia, my man, how are you? Thanks for joining us, my man. And who else is here? Let's see here. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Bobbert, good to have you back. Thank you for coming on in. Joanne Chapa, From California, welcome to SOR Chat. Zach Martin, good to see you. EMF, you're unbelievable. Oh, there we go. And who else do we have here? Space Cat Crow, nice to have you back. Tony Harris, another great veteran who listens to this show. Thank you for joining us. And who else is hanging out? Digger Dog, good to have you here. John Jackson, thanks for coming on in. Tombstone, welcome back. Third Rock, good to see you. And let's see here. Where are we here? Ada Severini, how are you? Nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us. And we're about 20 seconds away. Dutch Hank, nice to see you back. Paula W, looking lovely tonight. The gorgeous Margie O, the lovely Kathleen Hughes. Thank you for joining us. Lynn the ET, welcome to SOR Chat. And we're going to get going here in like 5 or 6 seconds. So do us a favor. Get ready to rock. Here we go. Horns up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we've got a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight. Personal Hauntings with Steve Shippy as he tells us about his personal paranormal quest. Can the two subjects coincide? Let us go to hour number 3, where we're going to have a great story from Swamp Dweller in the Swamp. Robin McRae fills in for Super Duke on the Cryptid Report. It's Dave 101 night, and Shirky Poo has the news. Steve Shippy grew up in a small town near Saginaw, Michigan, and literally was that kid in the creepy house on the corner. Shippy was a victim of severe hauntings and actually witnessed several apparitions. After investigating his own, he discovered a shocking truth. The previous owners had been brutally murdered. The story became a local legend, the hauntings never stopped, and Shippy and his family ultimately had to move away. This experience stayed with Shippy as he grew older, and he realized that he should not have been the answer, or running from it, that is. He instinctively knew that what his family should have done was stand tall, toe-to-toe with the entity in his home. Since then, Shippy has began documenting his work on film, and to date has produced and directed 10 feature-length documentaries, all available on Amazon Prime, including A Haunting on Hamilton Street. And for those of you who love music, you will know that he's an independent rapper, better known by his stage name, Prozac. As a national recording artist for more than 15 years, his music has hit the Billboard charts over 200 times, with his most notable album, Paranormal, charting over 100 times alone. Let's meet the man, the myth, and the ghostly legend, Steve Shippy. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. How you doing tonight, Dave?
I am great, man. I am great. And, you know, we always like a good goatee and hat combination in this show here. So thank you for rocking it. We really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You have an incredible story that a lot of people have lived, but majority have never told anybody about it. And for you, it was inspiring for you. Take us back to childhood about what that was like growing up in that haunted house and how it inspired you to who you are today.
Sure. Well, you know, it changes a lot of things. I mean, you know, number one, I was very young at the time, so I didn't have, I guess, a set belief system, but old enough to, I guess, have ideals that are passed down to your parents. And so when you experience things that are, I guess, quote unquote, not possible, things that are paranormal, seeing people that aren't there, hearing noises that aren't supposed to be there, after a while, when you experience these things and your parents are trying to say, they're trying to, I guess, come up with different things it could be. But, I guess fast forward in time to that point where everybody now has to come to the table and say, okay, this is happening. What do we do? To me, that's kind of a groundbreaking moment because, everything that you think you know about the world is completely turned upside down. You have to wonder, okay, so these shadowy figures are real. They are there. These things are moving around on their own, hearing these voices at night, being pushed. I could go on. But at the end of the day, realizing that these things are real, your mind is now, I guess the possibilities are limitless in your mind of what are they? Why are they here? If they can slam a door, if they can push you, what else can they do? Will they ever go away? Will they follow you forever? So on and so on. So it's very, very eye opening.
For you, I mean, you've been attacked, you've seen people attacked, you've seen apparitions, you've seen it all in regards to the paranormal. I mean, this is putting yourself in danger, the people around you in danger. I mean, for those out there who think that the paranormal is fun, and to be honest, it is. Let's not lie about that. But there is a sense of danger that goes along with this, especially when you're dealing with entities that you may not know about.
Sure. Yeah, no, I would agree with everything you just said. And yeah, like you said, there's no reason to disguise the fact that sure, it is fun. It is, it's exhilarating when you first start and you go into a location and you're trying to capture an EVP and you play that audio back and you catch that disembodied voice that cannot be explained. And maybe it says something intelligently responding to your question, or when you see something move right in front of you. Um, yes, it can definitely be exhilarating. It can become addicting, but as you said, there's also a whole nother side to things, and for anybody that's perhaps listening and just kind of getting started in the paranormal investigation world, maybe as an enthusiast, a hobbyist, whatever, you have to understand that there is definitely real danger involved. There can be, certainly.
We're going to get really in depth with you in the next half hour. And right now, I'm just kind of warming everything up here. But how did the paranormal influence your music career?
Well, it influenced it in a way that, well, several ways, I guess. Number one, growing up in that environment, that's, become a part of me from basically from the beginning, my life and my journey here on this spinning ball. And so, of course, that's going to kind of bleed through in the lyrics, but also, I was continuing to investigate and work on documentaries through the large part of my musical career. So it played, I guess, played a part several different ways, lyrically, conceptually. I have a song called "To Tell a Tale of Two Hearts" that's very much a ghost story, if you will. But like everything, if you're writing music, a lot of things will go into your lyrics, parts of your past, your beliefs, your personality, and your life experiences.
So for you, blending the two loves and passions together, I mean, what has been the reaction from your fans, your audience? I'm reading our chat room. Everybody knows you as Prozac and not Steve Shippy. I mean, that's got to be pretty cool, man, that you're able to blend your two loves together.
Yeah, it is. And it's not for everybody, right? I mean, certainly, a lot of music fans are kind of like, all right, that's cool that you have this passion, but we just want you to make records and as many as you can. And then I'm sure that there's, some people that follow my paranormal investigations and they say, that's cool that you do this music thing, but we really just want you to do this. But, if you love something and you want to do both of them, I think your most hardcore supporters are willing to entertain all different facets of who you are and what you do. So
I've talked to Ron Bumblefoot Thal, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Sons of Apollo. He also does all of our music for the show here. And I've talked to him about a number of times of what artists and touring musicians have seen or have happened on the road in some of these locations and where they go. And, it could be on the bus, on the tour bus, and you see UFOs in the sky, or, skinwalkers chasing your bus, or, haunted stages that you've played on. Have you ever played on a number of haunted stages? And could you give
Um,
us a story if you
yes,
have?
that's extremely accurate. I mean, what I toured for a long time. In fact, I actually was part of the longest tour in hip hop history in 2012. It was myself and Tech Nine and Machine Gun Kelly, MGK, and a handful of other artists. We did, I think, 136 shows in 144 days. So yeah, but anyway, after doing well over 1,000 shows and spending all that time on the road, you do experience a lot of things. You see a lot of strange things. But as far as haunted venues are concerned, absolutely. The Rave in Milwaukee is an extremely haunted place. The Sunshine Theater in Albuquerque, there's a very chilling, terrible story that happened there. That place is definitely haunted. There's many different haunted venues around the United States.
It's funny because Bumblefoot was telling me this story about how he has never, ever had anything paranormal happen on stage until they were playing in Plovdiv in the Czech Republic. They were playing in this amphitheater that's from the 1500s.
Wow.
And he said, like, his guitar, which is a double neck guitar, the top part is fretless, and the bottom is a regular guitar. And on his regular guitar, his guitar will never go out of tune, except his top string kept on popping out of tune. And so while they're playing, here he is having to adjust it. And then while they were playing a rendition of Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd, he went out towards the crowd to play the guitar solo, and he got shoved, and he's never fallen on stage until that point. And Derek Sherinian, the keyboardist, had his sunglasses sitting on top of his head. His head got swatted, and the sunglasses fell in between a crack in the stage. It
That
was
is crazy.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I bet that's on video, I would assume.
I've been trying to find it, and I can't find it. I don't know if they played a couple of shows there,
Yeah.
or if it was just one. But like Ron told me, he goes, a lot of these musicians, they are experiencers, man,
Yeah.
you know of the weird and strange, and they don't talk about it, because when you're a musician, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're a musician of that sort of ilk, when you're touring with a big band or you're a big name, you have to be cookie cutter with everything. You can't go too weird, or like, I mean, some people's shtick is like Rob Zombie or Marilyn Manson, or, people of that ilk, or the Insane Clown Posse or whatever. But for the majority of musicians, they have to be cookie cutter for the sake of the recording contracts that they have. And for them, they don't get to, talking about their weird experiences could get some in trouble. They don't want people thinking they're weird, they're odd, they're tinfoil hat,
Yeah.
conspiracy theorists, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Or using recreational favors on the road or something. Yeah. No, but no, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, to a large degree, a lot of people, they don't want to share things like this, and it's getting so much better, right, Dave? I mean, as we move forward, I mean, just thinking, imagine 25 years ago, what guts and courage it might take to be able to go to somebody or talk to a neighbor or friend and say, I saw this in the sky last night, or I have this phenomenon taking place in my home. I mean, it's been such a taboo subject, and sadly, it's stifled many people from coming forward that maybe could have received some help, or could have lent credence to a sighting, or whatever and what have you, because people are afraid of, I guess, verbal retaliation. What will somebody say if we were to make this claim?
For you and the artists that you have worked with, like you mentioned, Machine Gun Kelly, he's quite known as a spiritual person behind the scenes. of his music and everything. What is the conversation like when you get into the paranormal or UFOs or something along those lines? Are most people, when you're on tour and you're acting like real humans and not the stars that you are they really just all about saying, hey man, I've had this happen?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, spending years on the road, there's, so many times where, you know, the loud music stops. Maybe you have a couple of days off in between shows. I can remember an instance on that tour I mentioned. We were somewhere in Arizona, and I think we were only about 20 miles away from where that incident happened that, sparked the film Fire in the Sky with Travis Walton from Snowflake, Arizona. And, we all just kind of, it was one of those rare moments, where you're just out in the wilderness. We had a fire going by the bus. We were kind of parked in this huge amphitheater, and the conversations just start, because you're kind of out there and you're in that element, and the stories just start rolling. We start talking about weird things that we've experienced. And really, a lot of times when we'd be on tour, I would know of notable and haunted places on the road. And if I knew we were near one, I would convince one of the artists, if not all of them, to join me and go check some of these places out. And it's kind of funny because some of the most hardcore of these artists, lyrically and just all tattooed up and everything. And the first sound of a shuffling footstep, boy, and they're the first ones to run out the door. But yeah, I think, we all have that fascination inside to question and ponder the things that we don't understand. Like, what are the big questions of the world? Are we alone? And what happens when we die? And I don't really know that there's a more burning question than those two.
And it's amazing, though, how many paranormal teams out there cannot answer those two questions.
Really?
Really. They're more into, you want to know the best way to screw up a paranormal team, Steve? Ask them what they do with their evidence.
Okay, now how so exactly?
So this is actually one of the reasons why we don't bring a lot of paranormal teams on here anymore. Is you say to them, okay, so tell me about how you investigate. So they explain how they investigate, and then you ask them, well, what do you do with your evidence? Well, we collect it. Great. What do you do with it? Well, what do you mean? Well, are you sharing it with other teams to try and who've investigated that area to try and correlate if there's anything that is the same? Or are you trying to build profiles of ghosts? Are you trying to build any type of quest towards life after death or anything? No, we just store it.
I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I guess in my case, we document stuff, we film it, it sees the light of day, in that sense. And I kind of look at, all the, I mean, of course, I'm aware that there's probably tens of thousands of different groups around the country, maybe more around the world. But as far as the people that do reveal their findings, whether it be through film, television, in today's world, YouTube, etc., I think it's kind of all pooling in a database, so to speak, and I feel that, number one, paranormal is something, of course, that we can't explain, certainly. But I do think that through all the years that it's been being done, there are things that, at least I believe, we can kind of hang our hat on. I do believe that there is residual phenomenon.
Yes.
Certainly there's intelligent phenomenon. I believe that there are, I guess, what we call inhumans. People can interpret that, multiple different ways. So I do feel at least all that information and all those experiences have got us, somewhat to a point, but there's just so much to be answered. But yeah, I see what you're saying. If people were kind of really pooling that information somehow, some way, all these other folks that are out there doing that, it could at least further the field. Definitely.
We have about 4.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Prozac, a.k.a. Steve Shippy, is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Steve, what is your destination with the paranormal? Do you want to solve that life after death question?
Well, I guess if you're asking me personally, right now at this moment, I guess, in my life. For me, I think it's really kind of geared toward more helping people. I don't believe that I am so bold as to say I'm going to solve this, or really change, theology of it, so to speak. But what I do think I can do at this point with it, from as much as I have done, is that when there is a family particularly that are in distress, going and talking to them, letting them know that, number one, they're not alone. Certainly, they're not quote unquote crazy for believing that these things are happening, and at least trying to get to the bottom of what is happening in their house, their home, their business, and can there be any kind of resolve or resolution? Because it is an extreme environment to live in. Could you imagine, you're living in a home where you believe an unseen force is, terrorizing you, tormenting you, and or physically harming you? There's quite a emotional, mental toll being taken there.
Have you ever been attacked to the point where you thought this is a little bit too much?
Um, yes, yeah, I guess you could say, yeah, and oddly enough, maybe not in the way that you would think. It was more, we were dealing with a very dark case, and it wasn't, the gaping, scratching wound or being thrown in the air or anything like that, but it was the way that it can affect you, the way that you see it affecting your crew, the mood changes people have, just a series of very strange things that that there's something much greater that you're dealing with, than a human spirit, or I don't want to say a typical haunting, but for lack of a better phrase.
I can see that and I can get that. Have you ever been put in a point where you've been on a paranormal investigation that you have been scared and you're like, guys, we got to get out of here for our own safety?
Yeah, I guess you could say yes. Not, so much, I guess, frightened to be there, I guess, but just kind of realizing that you've done all you can, you've done your diligence, you brought in the right people, and you can only really go so much so far. And so sometimes, yeah, we have gotten to the point where we've done everything that you could do, and then we just give the best advice that we possibly can to the people that are dealing with it. And that's sometimes all you can do.
Yeah, and I get that and I can appreciate that. And for you, as you move the ball forward and your team moves the ball forward, I mean, where do you go from here? Is it television? Is it more documentaries? Is it private investigations? Where do you go with this, Steve?
Well, really, I do all of the above. I have a show on the Travel Channel, Haunting in the Heartland, on Discovery Plus. I've investigated many of the Shock Doc series. I've done 10 at this point. Truthfully, I've done 16 documentaries. Only 10 are released. One's about to be released here in a couple of weeks. So I basically do it all. I investigate some cases where we don't film, where we do documentaries, and for television, and more.
What what do you try and do different than other paranormal documentaries? Because and we may have to carry this answer into the second half hour, but usually the television shows, it's usually over the last 20 years, it's the same people going to the same haunted places, just under a different show title each and every time. What are you trying to do different to move the ball forward?
Sure. I guess, speaking just for myself, I really enjoy going to very small rural communities. That's kind of what we do here, where I'm based out of Saginaw, Michigan. And with, like, for instance, the Haunting of the Heartland series, we would go deep in the South or throughout the Heartland, and just going to very small communities that are dealing with paranormal activity. It doesn't, it's not that I don't have interest in very notable places, but, for me, I believe that the greatest evidence, or perhaps the greatest stories, are the ones that we still haven't heard about. And that's what I chase.
I love it. I love it. That sentence right there made me a huge fan of yours. It made me a huge fan because so many times it's all about doing the same thing, and we got to push the limits and go to the places where the stories are unknown. Prozac, aka Steve Shippy, is here talking paranormal all night long on Spaced Out Radio. Next. All right, we're clear. This is fun, man. That was
Yeah.
a good solid half hour, man.
Yeah, it flew by.
Now, just a reminder, I forgot to tell you this earlier. When we are on commercial break, it is for the YouTube audience. Is for our radio audience. Our YouTube audience is still kind of behind the scenes. They get the behind the scenes look with everything, so they can see us and hear us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's
It's
awesome.
kind of cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, they're good people. We got good people here.
Yeah, I could tell the report when you started off the show, all the different people you were shouting out and all kinds of inside jokes. Seems like a really cool community you have here. Is that moonshine?
I wish, but no, it's water. It's water. After the way my voice was destroyed last night.
Well, what were you up to?
You know what? I hadn't seen my daughters for a while, and they both came home for my son's birthday today. And so, I mean, we're a blended family, so they were a little older. And so I was literally 20 seconds from airtime. I lost track of time and 20 seconds from airtime. And I raced down here and I was out of breath and couldn't catch my breath because, just racing around the house, damn near tripping down the stairs and everything. And, nothing's set up. Now you got to race to get everything going. It's just a battle of combat last night. That's for sure. But we made it. We made it. Hi, gorgeous Marlena. But yeah, our audience is pretty damn cool, man. They're cool people. Yeah. Rose Brooks. Yes, my son was playing Slayer on his guitar.
Awesome.
My son. Yeah. My son's a little metalhead.
Me too. I'm a huge metalhead.
And well, I am too, but we're taking him to his first concert next month, and we're taking him to see Avatar in Vancouver, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to go throw him on my shoulders and rock it out.
That's cool. Yeah, I've been to a lot of metal shows.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty proud dad moment when all of a sudden you hear him playing Sad But True on his guitar, the opening riff, and he just started on one of the guitars we have here. It has a whammy bar on it. So all of a sudden he started playing around with the whammy bar yesterday for the first time, and all of a sudden he starts bending it, and it sounds like the beginning of Iron Man.
That's awesome.
And he just loves Iron Man by Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was my first metal influence as a kid was Black Sabbath.
Yeah, mine was Van Halen. But 1984, the album 1984, and AC/DC's Back in Black.
Yeah,
those were mine too.
Yeah.
But so now he's all about hanging on the whammy bar, trying to figure out Iron Man in the opening riff there. So I never go. You never go wrong with that. You just don't
never go wrong with Black Sabbath ever.
No, ever. And I still think I'm still trying to figure out how we don't have Ozzy in that same category with Keith Richards, where they'll be around when our great grandchildren are about to die.
Yeah, he's incredible. I got to see the farewell tour. I was very happy to be able to go there, and no matter what anyone says, he put on a stellar performance. I mean, it was a very long show, and I think maybe he drifted on maybe one bar of lyrics. I mean, he was spot on. He was fantastic, actually.
I've never seen him.
Yeah,
I want to see him.
The drummer was exceptional too. I forget who he was, but he put on an incredible show. Even had his own solo moment and everything.
Was Zakk Wylde playing guitar for him?
I don't believe so. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, my buddy wants one my business partner in SOR. He wants to take my son to Iron Maiden.
Mm,
That's his favorite band. He's seen Iron Maiden around the world like 155 times. Like
jeez.
he's just an
Mm,
addict. I
yeah.
want to say a big thank you to Simon times four, Ozzy Ange, and Grant for the super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show. Thank you so much for everybody who shopped at our store and our website. Here we go, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight. Steve Shippy, better known by his musical name, Prozac, is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio, talking all things paranormal and supernatural. Now, right before the break, we started an interesting conversation about where Steve much prefers to go into the smaller hidden locations around the United States to film those little secret hauntings that nobody knows about. And Steve, I got to tell you, you are one of the only paranormal people I've talked to in 7.5 years that does this. And I commend you for that because I have stated publicly, even on my Dave 101 rant, we need those small town stories. A
Yes.
lot of these small town stories, they're down to a minimal population. They're damn near a ghost town, probably within the next 50 to 100 years. Okay. And every small town has its legend, its haunting, and its backstory. And the fact that you're going out there to find them, I think that's excellent. We need more of that, Steve. That's where the true paranormal is. It isn't visiting Waverly Hills 58 times or Gettysburg or wherever. It's doing what you're doing, and I highly commend you for that.
Yeah, thank you. No, I agree with that. And something so interesting is you're talking about going out to these smaller towns and these tiny communities and what you might find. You never know, Dave. I mean, I literally came across what I personally believe to be perhaps the greatest paranormal story in the world 20 miles from where I'm sitting today. Now, here's what's interesting about this. I've been doing this for a very long time. Here in my city of Saginaw, we have a huge red carpet premiere every year. 4,000 people come and attend these. So you would think that after a decade of doing that, I would have heard of anything notable within 100, 200 miles of this area. But believe it or not, to my shock and surprise, I learned of a case that was so incredible, I didn't think it was real. Not to, segue into that, but I would love to at least, share this with you based
Please
on
go
what
right
you
ahead.
said.
You totally have our attention right now.
Well, so somebody was reaching out to me on social media. This woman had reached out to me for probably 2 years, and she kept saying, I need to meet you. I have something to give you. She wouldn't tell me what it was. She wouldn't tell me why. That's all she would say. And I kept telling her, like, listen, I'm very interested, but I need to know more. Why, who are you? Why am I meeting you? I don't just go and meet random people. And she would kind of shy away, and then that would be the end of it. And then about every 6, 7, 8 months, whatever, this would resurface and resurface. Finally, one time, she gave me just a little bit of information, and she said it's a huge box of police reports, and that's all I'm going to tell you. And if you don't want these, then I'm not going to contact you again. And I said, okay. At this point, if we're going to do this, let's do this. Let's meet at a public place where, she mentioned a coffee shop. I showed up there. She handed me this box. I wanted to open it right away and start asking her questions. She said, no, no, just take this box with you and do whatever you're going to do with it. That's it. Okay. So I get this box home and I start pulling out these reports, and there are hundreds of these reports, and I'm reading them. You know how the reports that kind of have a synopsis and then they have a long form. So I'm going through all these synopsis. I'm looking at the dates and I'm looking at the fact that they are every day, Dave, every day after day after day after day. I mean, as you peel through, it's every single day, and this goes on for a year and a half. And you're reading things about spontaneous combustion, fires, explosions. I could go on. Stakeouts, polygraphs, family polygraph, cleared, and so much more. It's impossible to even try to even loosely wrap it up, with the time that we have right now. But as I'm going through this, I start doing some lightweight, detective work and reaching out to these officers who are still alive. This took place in 74, 75. Got a hold of a handful of them, and they all responded rather quickly, and they all pretty much said the same thing. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what to say, but I can tell you what happened, and I can't believe it's taken this long for somebody to contact me about this. And this happened 20 miles away in a town I think that today maybe has 600 people. Yeah.
What happened? I'm sitting here on the edge of my seat right now.
So as the story goes, there was a family that had lived on this land going back to the 1800s, and in 1971, they started to have some strange things happen on the land that kind of went away quickly. Then in 1974, somebody showed up and moved into a house next door. For reasons unknown, even though they just moved into this brand new house, they came over and asked if this family would be willing to sell their land and their house to these individuals. And of course, they said, well, our house isn't for sale. Thanks, but no thanks. Well, they were very persistent, and they continued to come over every day for about a week, I believe. And finally, the homeowner got a little upset, and he said, listen, I don't know if you're just harassing us or if you're, having kicks here or whatever's going on. This house is not for sale. You have a brand new house across the street. Why do you want our house? And she had mumbled something to the effect of, you'll regret that. And that night, their front window blew out in the middle of the night. They called the police. It started there. And then from that day, they had called the police every day, and then sometimes multiple times per day. And this went on for a year and a half. Started with the local sheriff's department and the township, and went all the way to the state police, to very high divisions of the state police, and even higher law enforcement divisions than that, all contained in these documents. And this, it's just truly remarkable. I think the only reason why we don't see this case as being one of the Conjurings or one of the Amityvilles is because they tried their best to hide the story. The family didn't want it out there. The agencies working on it were more concerned about trying to figure out what the heck was going on. Of course, they're not going to jump to it's paranormal. They're looking at it with a very logical mind that, people don't, officers don't jump at, well, it's supernatural, case closed, anything but that. They looked at every possible scenario until the point where there was nothing left to do. And they had to throw their hands up. And we actually have one of those reports where they had succumbed to bringing in paranormal experts at the time from Duke University to come out and study the phenomenon, which is remarkable. Even William Roll, the man who wrote The Poltergeist, one of the most famous parapsychologists ever, actually flew out here and was involved.
That is just insane.
It really is
absolutely insane.
Yeah, and to just when I think that with all that I've done in this area, and nobody had ever come to me with this story. Nobody out of the tens of thousands of people that support what we do. No one ever said, hey, my grandpa or, Aunt Josephine had heard that, back in the 70s, I mean, nobody talked about this anymore. So when I think about the fact that I was able to stumble upon this, how many other cases could there be around the United States, around the world, possibly of this caliber? I don't know. Maybe it's one in a billion, or, maybe there's more. But it just goes to show you, you just never know.
I really do believe there are more. It's just we haven't expanded the paranormal enough, Steve, to take that shot, that opportunity, that extra tank of gas, and that extra night in a hotel or a sleeping bag to go find those great stories. We have a little town here in British Columbia called Yale. Yale is one of the most haunted places in Canada. Barely anybody ever investigates it. It was the start of the Canadian side of the Gold Rush Trail. Millions of people between 1850 and up until the 1950s traveled that trail. That's where the paddle wheelers ended, and you had to get off there and buy your horse, buy your buggy, and start heading up into the Klondike to find your gold. Millions of people pass through there. Jacko, the 8-boy Sasquatch story came from there. There's murders, there's death, there's washouts on the mountains that took people straight down the mountains into the flowing Fraser River and killed them instantly. I mean, it's a dangerous town. Nobody investigates there. Nobody. And that is one of those towns and I've had my own experiences there. And I've had 2 of them there because in order to go from the Vancouver area where I live or where my parents live to where I live, I have to go through there. You have no choice. The highway runs right through the town.
I see.
They're quirky. The W.P. Kinsella, who wrote the Legend of Shoeless Joe, which became the movie Field of Dreams, he's from there. That's where the book was written. I mean, there's a lot of weirdness in this town, and people just drive through it. Like if you blink your eye, you're right through it. And the fact that you're finding this paperwork in these small towns like this, I think they're all over North America. We just haven't taken the time to do the research because it's not easy.
Right. I agree. And you know what's strange too about going back to this case, when you start to look around that time frame, when you talk to some of these really old school, parapsychologists who are now in their 70s, for whatever reason, there was quite a peak in extreme cases between 71 and 77. And that always fascinates me. I don't know why. And that was worldwide, not just a regional area. So it's very interesting and makes you wonder how many other cases that were this extreme with this type of anomalous phenomena could have happened during that time frame.
True. So, when you looked into this case, did you ever get a chance to go there and investigate it at all? Or, what was that like? What was the feeling in that town?
The feeling in the town, it's conflicted, right? On one hand, the people there are very salt of the earth, farmers, shirt off the back if you needed it type of people, no nonsense, great community. And then on the other hand, there's kind of a residue that you kind of feel. You just kind of feel like something is a little off, something isn't right. And it all kind of stems from this one road that's right in the heart of this whole area. It's a dice road. Many people believe that the cemetery is highly active. I don't go in there. I don't investigate cemeteries or encourage people to do so out of respect for the people there and for other reasons. But there's many hot spots along this Dice Road area. So it's kind of, I refer to it as the Dice Road corridor. But anyway, yes, I did get a chance to investigate it several times. I recently reopened the case with some new information. A lot of new information, actually. When I first investigated it, we would hear from the surviving family members and other eyewitnesses that they were interviewed by these people from Duke University, and they kept saying, "Well, yeah, if you listen to those tapes, what tapes? And then we talked to the parapsychology team that came here, those who are still with us, and they said, yeah, we recorded everything, for our information purposes. We documented everything, and nobody had a clue what happened to these tapes. Well, luckily, Professor Jerry Sulfan, who is, a protege with William Roll, he had come to learn that they were at an archive in a certain university far away. And we were able to get in contact with that university. And sure enough, all these audio recordings are there. All of them. The interviews with all the family members, repeated interviews with the law enforcement, the detectives, the sheriffs, the firemen, the neighbors, the relatives. And even so incredible, they would leave these machines running. They had, the large reel to reels and even little mini cassette recorders. Well, they would leave the large reels going at all times, just all the time. Maybe it would catch a candid conversation, maybe a disembodied voice, who knows what. Well, one day, this gentleman goes out to go get some more tapes. The guy from Duke University, parapsychologist. He needs some more materials. He goes to town. On the way back, he sees this plume of smoke, for miles out there. It's all flat country. The house is burning down. The fireman came. I believe this is the third fire that had happened in just the few days he was there. And the reel to reel luckily wasn't damaged. And you could actually hear that fire starting, the family reacting to it. They go outside. I don't want to give away too much because it's a huge project that we're about to release. But the things that they claimed happened is all on the audio. It truly is. The explosions, you hear the rumbling, you hear dishes rattling and shaking and silverware and these massive concussion sounds. The fires obviously were, very provable in the sense that, the fire marshals had come out there. In fact, there's even one report where the fire marshal, now keep in mind, Dave, this is a state fire marshal, right? This isn't a volunteer fireman. This is the state fire marshal declaring the origin of one of the fires, and I quote, humanly impossible in nature. What a remarkable statement.
That is just impressive.
Yeah. And to me, to be able to hear those tapes, and the knocking and the pounding that the family would experience, and that went on for a year, to the point where the police would do stakeouts. Okay, we're going to catch whoever's doing this. And, there was one stakeout they did October 31st, coincidentally, Halloween night, 1974. House is surrounded. Family doesn't know it. They sent the captain to go to the house. He knocks on the door. He tells the family, okay, hey, what are your guys' plans for this evening? Okay, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to sit on the floor so I can't be seen through the windows. I'm going to sit right here. All of you are going to stay in my eye line. The minute this SOB comes and starts harassing you and pounding on your house, we're all going to go out there. This ends tonight. Well, what the family didn't know is the house was surrounded by officers in the cornfield. Stakeout. So about an hour or two go by, nothing. Just nothing's happening. They're just sitting there watching TV. Sure enough, it begins. Boom, boom, boom. Pictures are falling off the wall. Captain jumps on the radio. It's happening. Close in, close in, close in. All the surrounding officers are seeing every portion of this house. They see nothing. They hear nothing. But yet they all attest to they can hear the pounding through his radio while he's yelling, close in, close in. They can hear the pounding through the radio, but they're right outside. They see and hear nothing. It's a remarkable situation.
Without going into too much detail and everything that you learned about this and this case, do you feel it is paranormal, or is it a bunch of tricksters going around? Maybe at one of the, like every small town or every town has that bullying type family that's out there.
Right. Well, in this case, I would definitely say hands down, it was supernatural. It was paranormal in nature. I mean, you're talking the exhausting efforts of several high-ranking law enforcement agencies, detectives. They were using state-of-the-art equipment, even to the point where they were bringing seismographs out there to try to figure out if the rumbling and these concussions could possibly be a geological event. They brought out the power company. They brought out the electric company, the gas company. There was even a point, Dave, where they thought perhaps it could be radar from a nearby airport somehow bouncing off of the house. The FAA came out there. That's how drastic in what they resorted to try to figure out how this could be, and they could never figure it out.
See, the only thing that I can recognize from what you're explaining is up north of me, about about 4.5 hours, is this town called Vanderhoof. And this is a town where it's literally in it's said to be the middle point of British Columbia. And they started a number of years ago having what sounds like those screeching noises that come out of the sky,
Yep.
or the trumpets or whatever. It sounds like trains that are rumbling through the sky.
Yep.
To me, this reminds me of a lot of what you've said. Are there tunnels being bored underneath? Is there any type of volcanic disruption or anything along those lines?
They searched everything that they could search. They thought perhaps there could be an old mine underneath the house.
Yeah.
And none of the other neighbors were experiencing it. Nobody else was experiencing it. And,
No.
and Dave, besides rumblings and pounding, there was much more than that. There was disembodied voices in the house. There were objects being thrown around. There was spontaneous combustion in the house, several different fires that sparked for reasons that they could not explain. And I know that it sounds so sensational, but what I just told you literally is a drop of sand in the bucket of what happened in that house in a year and a half.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. I can't. When are you releasing this thing?
Well, it's definitely going to come out at the end of this year. As a matter of fact, we enlisted the help of one of your previous guests that I had the honor of meeting and having her work with me on this case to figure out what is happening to this family and how that connected back then and how that connects to present day. Miss Aida, of course, is who I'm referring to.
She is awesome. Aida is amazing.
Incredible.
Absolutely amazing. And wow, with 2 minutes to go here before we got to go to break, I'm going to be honest with you. This is a story I don't want to end. I don't. I want to ask you so much, but I realize
it's been 7 years for me, Dave, and it still hasn't ended. It still continues. We still find out more. We still learn more. It's just, but I guess I only brought it up just to say, when you find perhaps one of the greatest stories never told in your own backyard, what else is out there? And I think that's that should be a reason for people to go out and dig and go into these small communities and look, besides, like you said, Waverly Hills or Alcatraz or this one and that, all these landmarks, they've been done over and over again.
Have you had, with a minute to go here, any residual energy or residual haunting from this place that's come after you?
I don't know if I would say it's come after me, but there is a lot of very strange things that happen every single time I start to dig into this case. And I could give you very detailed examples of it, but it's extremely bizarre that every time I begin turning that wheel to do something else with this family, with this location, really strange things start to happen.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is one I want to watch, man. This is definitely one that I want to watch. And I wish I was right there with you investigating this, because this sounds incredible. Incredible, man. And kudos on you for that. When we come back from the break here at the top of the hour, we're obviously going to take questions from the audience. And make sure, if you were in our audience on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter, make sure you put your questions in capital letters, and I will get them to Steve for you all. But we're going to continue the paranormal talk. And Steve's really into the UFO side of everything, too. This man is looking into everything. He may love his ghosts and paranormal, but he also knows that there's something strange that ties this all together. Steve Shippy is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. You may know him as Prozac, the rapper. And we're glad to have him here on Spaced Out Radio. We got him for another 1 hour here on the show. All paranormal tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. More with Hour 2 next. All right, we're clear. We got about 6 minutes. I'm going to quickly step away for a bathroom break. Going to turn this over to Dirty Filth, and I'm just going to put you on mute, Steve, and I'll be right back, okay?
I'm off visual for right now?
No, you're off visual for right now.
Okay.
All right, Dirty Filth, it's all yours, buddy.
I just want to say that whiskey's a jerk and knocked my ginger ale over. So that's cat snacks rations are going to be halved for whiskey breath. Oh, bloody hell. Blame whiskey for the autofocus being weird. Damned cats. Ooh, this is going to be a good drawing. I like drawing the bigger ones. And tomorrow, I'm going to draw the Paranormal Roundtable for the month. With the legendary R. Keith Andrews. Or no, wait. Never mind. He's not on tomorrow. I apologize. I was getting ahead of myself. I was thinking about rolling dice and stuff, and I was going to say I'd love to roll some dice with R. Keith Andrews. That'd be so cool. Just have to recheck my speech balloons here because everybody gets certain colors for their speech balloons. I'll have to ask this other character that I'm working on which are his two favorite colors so I can properly give him speech balloons for the cartoons. Because I always ask people that. I get a list right here. Dave Scott's got blue and green. Bless your soul, Butch Wachowski, he was black and yellow. Science Bob is navy blue and orange. And it's just so that everybody has their own little speech balloon thing. Anyways. Minor details that most people don't think about. Somebody's having coffee. Minor details that most people don't think about, but I do. So I have to harass them and ask them what their favorite colors are. Their two favorite colors. Lobo listening? I don't know what you're talking about, Bob. Bob Birkins, double B. Lobo's a cool cartoon character, though. Or comic character, rather. I think I mentioned that before. It's all good. All right, I'll put the green in for Dave's speech bubble. Dave Scott and his beautiful lion's mane. I used to have hair back in the day, but I saved a whole bunch of money by switching to bald. Okay. Finish up this little bit of green and do the painting of the you're in a creepy building. Got to have the obligatory painting of the old guy with the medal on his chest. The war medal from 1812 when Canada beat up America. It's all there in the history books, folks. You put your dog outside. It's been raining. We got like Vancouver rain in Edmonton right now. It's been a pretty soggy spring and summer so far, but that's okay. I don't have to cut my grass because it's too wet. Oh God, whiskey's just whining. She knocked over my ginger ale. Now my carpet's soaked, and then she just wandered away. Typical cats. Yep. I also love watercolor, Bob. My favorite artist in the entire world is Milo Manara. I'd totally love to hang out and talk to him, but I don't know Italian, so it'd probably never happen. Excuse me. Oh, here comes Dave. Sneaking
All right.
in.
How you doing, Dirty Filth?
I'm doing good. I was just telling everybody my favorite artist in the entire world is Milo Manara.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hand it back over to you.
Okay. Well, we got about 45 seconds before we come back on air, and we are hanging on out, having a great time tonight. Hi to everyone
Dave,
in the chat rooms. Yeah.
can you ask Merle what his 2 favorite colors are?
Merle?
Yeah, next time you talk to him.
I can find out.
Okay.
Merle's all proud today because he was on the front page of the Abbotsford, British Columbia newspaper for his TikTok video that's gone viral over one of the most haunted streets.
What? I gotta follow. What's he on TikTok? I'll go follow him.
Paranormal Road Trippers. Okay, I gotta mute you here, Filth. There we go. And here we go, everyone, with hour 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Definians. Definians is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight talking paranormal, ghosts, hauntings. Steve Shippy from Saginaw, Michigan is here. You may know him as independent recording artist Prozac, and he has some incredible paranormal stories from his adventures searching for ghosts all across the United States. Steve, thank you so much for joining us, my man. How you doing?
Good. Very good.
All right, we could go 2 ways. We could talk a little bit about cryptids and paranormal and UFOs, or we can take some audience questions. I'm going to leave it up to you for right now.
I mean, we could dabble with a little bit of UFO.
All right, let's get into it. A lot of people, when they investigate, Steve, they either investigate the paranormal, they investigate UFOs, or they investigate cryptids. Yet there is a number of people now, including a lot of scientists, who are trying to figure out and are learning that the entire phenomena is all in one. Where do you stand on this?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say I would agree with that. I can't say I would disagree with that. Who knows what, when you're talking alternate universes, so many things that we can't possibly comprehend or understand at this point. I mean, it seems like, human history goes back so many years, but relatively, I guess, speaking in terms of the greater picture, we haven't been here very long. So there's a lot that we don't understand. I wouldn't necessarily say that I would come forward and say I believe it's all tied together, but I don't understand how anybody in today's world could believe that we are completely alone in the universe and that there is no other life form possible in the infinite vast space. I mean, look at the things released in 2020 and 2021. The government has come out and said, we know this to be fact. We don't know what these things are. Their propulsion systems don't remotely act in a way that we could possibly understand, nor do they think that other countries or our adversaries have said technology. And they've even gone as far as to release video. Look at Commander Fravor and the infamous Tic Tac,
Oh,
spotted over.
yes.
Yeah, and so many others, and what are these things? Where do they come from? Why are they here? It's fascinating. It's crazy to me to think that anybody would believe it's not possible.
So for you, as you consider yourself a paranormal investigator, have you ever had any extraterrestrial UFO sightings while out on a paranormal investigation?
No, not while on a paranormal investigation. I haven't ever seen anything that I thought was unexplainable in the skies.
So do you think it's just a matter of time?
Well, I mean, I've seen different things throughout my life. Traveling. As we said, traveling the country repeatedly, touring, whether it be in a tour bus or by van. We definitely have seen some strange things. For some reason, it seems like when we're in the Southwest, I don't know what it is about the skies or maybe how clear it is out there, but sometimes you see some things that just don't make sense. They're not a satellite. It's not a shooting star. What is it? Not sure. Can't necessarily say I've seen a UFO, quote unquote, but certainly strange things.
All right. What about cryptids? Are you into the whole cryptid genre as well?
No, I'm not. I don't. It's not for any other reason that I think that when you do something for as long as I have, um, that's what you're called upon to do all the time. It's very rare that I'm ever called for something like that. However, recently, oddly enough, you asked me this question. There is somebody that's in the New Jersey area that is sending me some really compelling videos, and it's to a point where I'm about ready to, consider packing up some gear and heading out there of what looks like some kind of uh, creature, for lack of a better word, kind of humanoid in nature. And she's catching it on this trail cam in the same area. And it's very bizarre when you look at it. If I shared it with you, it's very bizarre. It's hard to explain. And then she goes out there during the day and she brings her camera phone and she's seeing these piles of pieces of deer that this thing is leaving there. I don't know. It's very strange, and this has been going on for months. That she keeps sending me these videos, and I'm very intrigued by what it could possibly be. I don't understand this genre, so to speak, or that realm of the paranormal, but it's got my interest.
Yeah, mine too. I'd love to see some of that.
Yeah.
Love to see some of that. When you try and put everything together and you try and figure out the answers to what you are dealing with, what is outside of the whole death part and life after death, what are some of the commonalities you have found in investigation? Have you found any patterns that you're like, well, hey, that happened at this location and a previous location? Are you into the patterns?
Yeah, I think patterns make a lot of sense. I mean, anytime that if you're investigating something, you should always be looking for patterns, number one. So if I go investigate, let's use a family for an example. You kind of you get all their stories independently. You want to talk to mom, dad, junior, neighbor Bob, Uncle Ted, whoever, and you ask them a series of questions, and more importantly, you listen. You want them to tell you everything that they say off the cuff, and then you turn around and ask your detailed questions. But you're always searching for that pattern. Does it seem like the activity centers around a certain part of the house or property? Is it at a certain time? Does it precede anything? Are people arguing and then all of a sudden these events take place? Could there be any reasons that could be fueling this activity? Is it residual? We could go on down the line, right? But pattern is very important to try to understand what could be potentially happening.
Very, very interesting. What could you give us an example of the patterns that you have noticed?
Yeah, definitely. I do notice that there has been an uptick of cases And I guess how do I want to word this a certain way? During the last couple years, a lot of things have changed, and there was a time where people had to stay home a lot, right? Recently, we had kind of all were told to stay in our houses for a while, and I think that during that time, people were spending a lot of time at home when they typically weren't. So number one, they were observing more. They would be home more to witness or hear something happening in their house, but also there was a lot of stress going on, rather for multiple reasons, which I think we can all understand. And I believe that the massive increase in cases that I was being presented seemed to be poltergeist type phenomenon. And it's interesting because you think about, I know that's a very strange word, a poltergeist, because I think if you were to ask 20 different investigators what a poltergeist is, I think you would probably get 20 different answers. But from what I understand, talking to the old school parapsychologists who kind of, really coined that term, so to speak, it does seem to be a human phenomenon that is sparked through stress, a bizarre family dynamic sometimes, or a certain pressure that's put on a group of people. And somehow these outbursts of energies will happen. Things go flying across the room. Um, Things will start spinning. This very odd phenomenon. And, as long as I've been doing this, I haven't seen a lot of poltergeist cases. But in 2020 and early 2021, I would say that the amount of people that approached me with that type of phenomenon, stories of what was happening in their house, had probably gone up 100%. I mean, it was just kind of remarkable. But I think that you could probably attribute it to those factors, which again, going back to patterns.
It's funny because in the 70s, and early 80s, we only seem to hear about poltergeist type cases.
Yeah.
And now they seem to have dissipated. Is it because of popularity, or are they still happening?
I think that they're still happening. I just think that, from all the different stories and films and different things out there, and when people, start Googling away about what they could be experiencing at their house, when things start to move around, or somebody sees something slide across their kitchen counter, or just smash and break, I could see, if you weren't a paranormal investigator or a researcher, that you could probably quickly draw the parallel. Hey, wait a minute. There's something here. There's someone here, and they're mad and they're evil, and then they're angry. And that's what's happening. But really, sometimes it could just literally be poltergeist phenomenon, poltergeist activity. But if you didn't know any better and didn't really take the time to think about it, sure, if that's followed up with disembodied voices, if you're being pushed, if you're being shoved, if you're having intelligent things happening, yeah, I would definitely say it's probably not a poltergeist case, and that you are dealing with some type of spirit. But I do think that poltergeist cases, although they seem to be fairly rare, I do believe they still happen, but I think they get misinterpreted. That's what I believe anyway.
All right, let's get to some audience questions here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Start off with Amanda. Steve, how do you protect yourself when going into these haunted places?
Well, I think for everybody that's a little bit different, right? Kind of like a matter of faith, so to speak. I think that you have to go into a situation with the right intention. You have to kind of have a clean slate, so to speak, within yourself, to go into a place and feel that you're doing the right thing. You're going about it the right way. And you're doing it to leave the situation better than when you left it, and I think that that's really important. But I also think that there are times, and there are cases, and there are things you may encounter when you want to bring in somebody to help, with that protection, or to get rid of something, or to bind it, or several other different ways you could go about it. So it's a hard question to, I guess, summarize, but I feel like number one, I think it's what's in here, first and foremost.
True enough. Do you have and if this is too personal, just please let me know. But do you have your own spiritual guidance that you use to make sure that you are protected?
I guess you could say in a way, yeah, in a way, I think so.
Cool.
I think that to be able to continue to do it for so long, I think that there are other perhaps deities or other things that could be helping you in certain ways. If you're doing something that's positive for other people, that can protect you. But as I said, I do think that sometimes you may get a case that's a little sticky, and things get a little too close, and that's when you want to call in somebody that's got some power behind them.
All right, let's get to Donnie's question here. Did you ever find out more information about the couple across the street? This goes back to when you were talking about that small town with all the police reports.
Absolutely, Donnie. Yes, we've learned a tremendous amount about the people across the street, and with this new documentary, we dive really deep into that situation. Um, I wish I could say more. In fact, it's so much so that I think that anybody who's been following this journey with me will be extremely excited and shocked at what we've found and what we've gained access to.
You know what? I love what you're saying. I hear the vagueness, and I'm telling you right now, I'm so pissed off about it, Steve, because I want more, but I can't ask more due to the fact that you're filming it, and that's got to take precedence right now. But you have to let me know when this comes out, dude, because I am like totally,
I will.
totally stymied by this case right now.
I definitely will. It will come out this year on a large platform, so I definitely will keep you updated.
You know what I want to do, if you don't mind, when you release this, I want you to come back on.
Oh, I would love to.
And I want you to break this down for us, because I have a feeling that this is one of those paranormal documentaries that is going to really, really light things up. You know what I'm saying? It's going to light things up. And I don't know why. I'm just pumped up about this one, man. Pumped right up. All right, let's get to Stephanie's question. Steve, how has the paranormal world, and I asked you this earlier, but she just got in, but how the paranormal world influenced your music career?
Yeah, Stephanie, I would say, it's influenced it in a lot of different ways. Encountering the paranormal at a very young age, it's kind of always been a part of me. And I think that when somebody sits down to write anything, whether it be a book or lyrics or poetry, you're kind of drawing from your life experiences, an array of different things. So, realizing that there's a whole lot out there that we don't understand certainly has influenced some of my lyrics and even album titles.
Right, right. All right, let's move on. Back to Davey has a question here for you, and he's saying, Steve, are you open to discussing this further? I might be writing a book on this.
Well, actually, we're well into the process of doing that as well. So, yeah. Otherwise, yeah. I mean, more will be coming out certainly with the new documentary, but we are in the process of working on a book with the surviving family members.
All right, nice compliment from you, or for you, from Steve Wolf here. Steve Shippy, by far the best paranormal investigator I'm aware of. Seen all he has put out. That's high praise right there from our audience for you.
Yeah, Steve, thank you very, very much.
5 minutes ago, before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour, Steve Shippy is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Steve, what is the ultimate for you when it comes to the paranormal? What do you want to experience?
Well, I mean, I guess my first answer is something that could never happen. I wish I could teleport to 1974 and 1975 and be at this residence that we're talking about to experience that level of activity at that particular time. But I guess for me, other than helping people that are dealing with this, because that's something that I can do, I guess trying to maybe connect some more dots, besides the phenomenon that we all can kind of hang our hat on, right? We throw around these terms: poltergeist, intelligent haunting, inhuman haunting, residual haunting. Is there any other classification or category that myself and or people that are doing it today in this era, are we going to be able to leave behind some more information that, people 30 years from now can hang their hat on and continue forward? What is that next understanding?
Wow. Wow. So, how do you base an investigation to build around that? Take me through that.
As far as with the hopes of something like that, or just an investigation in general?
Either or, the hopes of something to set that up.
Well, I mean, the only way that that's really going to happen is getting one of those breakthrough cases, where you're taking all the information, you have all the data from the family, all their stories, all their accounts. And what's also interesting too, Dave, is like we live in a world now where, imagine you were investigating these cases in the 70s. I mean, you're going off of, you know, predominantly eyewitness claims and testimony, and then you have to, then these people would come and set up their gear, their 16 millimeter film cameras or whatever they had at the time. But we live in an era now where it's kind of crazy. When you go talk to a family, it's not uncommon for them to say, well, here, check out these 12 videos. Here, check out, I did this on my phone, or our home security camera caught this. Because we live in a world now where people are walking around with a camera or a video camera at all times, a smartphone. So it's kind of remarkable in that sense. But I guess it would take, getting all that information and finding a case where things are happening that are completely out of the box of anything you've seen before, and then trying to understand what that could possibly be, and really broadcasting that out, and bringing in some of the top tier people that are out there to try to figure out what's happening. I mean, I think that's the only way that perhaps we'll get past the current cusp that we are at into maybe having another or several more categories of what we call hauntings, and trying to gather some more intel.
Do you believe a lot of these hauntings are brought on by the people themselves because of maybe the television they watch, or I guess what I'm talking about is tulpa type of haunted activity?
Yep.
Do you believe that's more common today with the popularity of these subjects?
I do. I think that's an excellent question. I do believe that that truly is a phenomenon of its own. I think that, again, I'm just giving my opinion, speaking for myself. I do believe I have seen enough cases to where, somebody believes their home is haunted, or maybe there's some minor things that happened that maybe could have been explained. I don't, we don't know, we weren't there. But maybe it starts off with, it was a door slammed one day, we heard footsteps, and then there's this grand escalation. But you also realize that with this grand escalation, you start to look at the patterns of what they were doing. So they start getting more worked up and more worked up. And then they start going online, and then they start talking to anybody they can. And before you know it, I believe they're opening doors and perhaps conjuring things on their own accord without realizing it. A lot of times they'll try to communicate with these entities. Maybe there weren't entities there to begin with, but maybe now with all these methods that you're doing, you're now opening doors. And this fear and this energy and this passion and fear and all the other emotions kind of powder keg together is now fueling these open doors. And before you know it, it just goes into a whole nother realm of activity that may have never have happened had they not have gone to those extents. So I do believe that people can produce their own hauntings, for lack of a better word, depending on their actions.
You know what? I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we have you for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Steve Shippy is our guest tonight. You may know him from his musical prowess as Prozac. We're going to continue with another half hour of ghost talk, paranormal, supernatural chatter here on Spaced Out Radio. Then in hour 3, we're going to head over to the swamp. Oh, this is an exciting show here. Let's do it right after this break. Brother, I'm having so much fun with you tonight. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, me too. I'm really enjoying the show, and I would love to come back when we do that, because once when we release large scale projects like this, I do a lot of appearances, but I would love personally to come back onto this show and talk with you. At that point, we can just crack it wide open and reveal and talk about everything.
Absolutely. But we have to do it. We have to do it. Give me 1 second here.
Sure.
There we go. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, this is amazing. Absolutely amazing. We've hit a lot of topics here. Is there anything we haven't touched yet that you want to get into?
Well, I mean, we've definitely talked about some interesting theology of the paranormal. I guess my lifelong case that I seem to always bring up in some way, shape, or form. But I'm open to any topic.
Oh, let's just roll with it. Let's just roll. Roll with it, man. Roll with it.
We'll do it live.
I would love to see you, because you have firsthand information on this. I would love to see you do a documentary on haunted concert locations.
It's so funny you say that, because that's something that I've been trying to get off the ground for a while. As a matter of fact, Dave, I will send you a link after this. I actually kind of shot a little sizzle for a series like that, and it's very interesting reactions. Like I said, when you see some very notable hardcore recording artists just running right out the door, to the point where you're chasing them down to get their microphones off because they're going to take off with it, or throwing it, mad that they even came in the building. It's interesting.
It's amazing because, I think a lot of artists are very, very psychically sensitive. And it may be a lot of the attitude that goes into a show, refusing to go on stage, that anger. I mean, you look at somebody like an Axl Rose.
I was going to say Axl Rose is like the epitome of that, refusing to go on stage. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if a lot of these places where the spiritual energy is what fires these guys up into some sort of anger or some sort of attitude or whatever it may be. Now, some, of course, it's just going to be their own personal ego or mental instability, but yeah,
I think it's a great theory. I mean, you're talking, some of these venues, I mean, my God, like the one you're talking about goes back how far? I mean, with that band, that had that strange encounters with the guitar string and the sunglasses. But, I've performed in places that are 150 years old, and you just kind of think about that constant energy that's been pumped into this building over the years. And we're just talking energy there, not even past tragedies and other things that could also play a part.
Like, could you imagine getting the opportunity to investigate Madison Square Garden?
Yeah,
I mean,
with
the concerts, the sports, the boxing matches, everything,
all the history, how many millions of people have been in there, and the emotion too, that that residue that would be certainly contained in some sense within that location.
Right? Insane. It's incredible.
Yeah,
it's
really
incredible.
Is. I can't talk too much about it, but not that long ago, I was able to go and investigate a venue, a very large venue with some very amazing history. So it's kind of right on topic with what we're talking about. And that was a remarkable experience. Honestly, I didn't go into it with large expectations, but I was blown away by the investigation. It was a sleeper for me, one of those ones where you're just
Yeah.
kind of not sure and you walk away saying, wow.
Well, we got 20 seconds. Apparently, a paranormal team out of Montreal actually went to the old Forum a couple of years ago to try and move the ghosts of the Canadiens from the old Forum, which is now a shopping center, over to the new rink, which has been there for 30 years, because the Habs haven't won a Stanley Cup, and no Canadian team has won a Stanley Cup in 29 years. Hold on. Well, here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you have missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight. For the final time, we say hello to Steve Shippy, his musical prowess as Prozac, going to all sorts of buildings, venues that are haunted. He's even got his own haunted museum, which we're going to talk about here momentarily. Steve, welcome back, and thank you so much for being a great guest tonight.
Yeah, I love being here. Great community. Awesome show.
Let's get to your paranormal museum. Tell us about it.
Okay, well, where do I begin? It wasn't planned, I guess, which is the strange thing. But let me backtrack here for a moment. So I brought up earlier, for years, we have shown our independent documentaries at a local theater here, an old, beautiful, large, historic theater. And, we sell it out every year. And I would take what we referred to as the Haunted Saginaw Museum, which are items that I've collected from all these different locations. And, and some just in my private collection. And if you came to the premiere, and if you were a VIP pass holder, you could go into a certain area in the theater and go and browse the items. So we had done this for, I don't know, 7 of the 10 years, I believe. But as you can imagine, as I have traveled further and further out in this career and started doing 10, 20 times the amount of investigation per year, that collection has grown. Well, there's an old iconic building here in the city that's a centuries old funeral home. It was built as a funeral home, and it was up until about 5 years ago. And we have heard a lot of chilling stories about paranormal activity that is said to take place there. And it's right in an old part of Saginaw that we here refer to as Old Town, where a lot of my films had first started, in that oldest part of the city. So when I saw there was a for rent sign, I kind of thought, well, and this is a huge building, Dave. We're talking about 25,000 square feet. And I thought, well, certainly this whole building couldn't be for rent, but let me jot down this number and call the owner, because I would love to film there and find out if these stories are true. Got a hold of the owner, expressed my interest in investigating, heard some of his stories. He was a little reluctant, but once he realized what I did, the stories kind of started to flow. At that point, he realized it wasn't going to scare me away, but that's actually why I was inquiring. After spending some time in the building, I had a few sightings just on the tour in broad daylight with the owner, and I was fascinated. And I was kind of drawn to one particular region of this building, fell in love with it, kept talking about it, and just literally out of nowhere, even though I've had a million things on my plate, I decided to acquire a large amount of this location, and not only investigate and film there, but also take all of my items and put it in there as a place that our supporters can actually go and see the entire collection, as well as investigate with me as a destination, so to speak, not only for the thousands of locals here that support, but from people that are already booking tickets, even from the UK. which is just wild to me. Of course, California, Arizona, I could go on, but it's kind of amazing, and I guess it's just a passion project.
Tell us about some of the items you have in there.
Sure. So one of the exhibits is the Dice Road exhibit, which is all about the case that I continuously talked about. So never get me started on that, because we'll keep going. But we're going to play audio recordings in that room that people have never heard. We have specific items from that home, photographs from that home, again, recordings, things that were used there, things that were discovered there that people can actually go into and hear and see and experience, as well as other films that we've done. A Haunting on Finn Road. There's a Finn Road exhibit, a Brockway exhibit from A Haunting on Brockway Street. And then there's also certain collections that aren't from only Haunted Saginaw films, but cases I've done beyond this area, or this region, and some that I've collected from some notable places that I have made some deals when acquiring that I wouldn't mention where they came from, even though they're quite notable. So, I guess I'll leave that at that. But it's a very interesting place, because not only was it a place that was already active and haunted, but now we're bringing in these items, and it's just kind of a very interesting dynamic.
The items that you have, can you explain a few of them to us?
Yes. So besides all the items from those films that we talked about, we recently acquired a set of curtains for an exhibit that was from a very notable case that I had worked on that involved a serial killer known as the Gainesville Ripper. And these came from his childhood home. The owner of that house currently believed that a lot of her misfortune and very bizarre continuing activity were a result from these original curtains that she had never changed, that were from that original family. And her story actually gets very wild after we were there, but we felt it was best to get those curtains out of her house. And we went through quite a process to encase them and bind them in a box that I had a demonologist make, with a lot of, it's very interesting, Dave, because it's not every day that you encase something like this, and the process is pretty amazing. He was taking the wood and rolling it with oil that had been blessed, putting it out in the sun to bake into it. There's so many steps that I had never even thought of or heard of, just to build and encase this item. Besides the binding, the prayer, and so many other things. That's all actually documented in the new film that we're getting ready to release, I believe in 2 weeks, July 8th, here in Saginaw, A Haunting on Adams Street. And that documentary, the new film, this will be the 11th that we've released, is actually about the museum and us investigating the museum. So it's very interesting that we're going to premiere that on the 8th, and then on the 9th, we're opening the museum to the public.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. In my studio here, the only haunted items I have are a couple of old soda pop cans. Now, about 25 miles southwest of me here, in 1965, there was a bomb that blew up a plane. 52 people died, and it's still Canada's largest unsolved mass murder. And we were doing a paranormal investigation there. My buddy Bill, very in tune with ghost boxes, said, I would like to take one of these pop cans, put it in my studio. So we asked if the spirits would mind if I took one or two of these pop cans. And we literally got an answer, said, no, you could take them.
Wow, that definitive, huh?
That definitive.
Yeah.
I'm not a big ghost box guy, but there's been a couple of times where I've been like, that's pretty accurate,
right,
for what we were talking about.
And those are the times that, to me, prove their worth and salt. I do agree. Early on, I wasn't the biggest fan of spirit boxes and things like that, because you think, okay, well, they're scanning radio frequency, and that could just be. But then when you start using them, and as you said, you get a direct, exact response to your question, and that happens repeatedly. I believe that ITC communication devices are 100% legit. Now, of course, if you're using one and you think everything that you're hearing is a spirit talking to you, then I would probably say you're going about it the wrong way. After using it enough, it's very clear when you are having spirit interaction and when you're just getting radio bleed through. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you on that. I get in debates with a lot of my paranormal friends over this because, the beginner style gear, the K2s, the Ovuluses and everything, they're not fans of. They think, it's all garbage and everything, whatever. But I'm a firm believer, Steve, that a certain piece of gear may not work for you, but it'll work for me. Or it may not work for me, but it may work for Dirty Filth or someone in our chat room. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think, a device, I think when you're using a device, you have to respect the device, and you have to, if you don't believe that this item you're using is going to work, it could, you could be blocking communication, I believe, just with your energy at that point, in my opinion, first and foremost. So I do think that before somebody completely discounts a piece of gear, authentically try to use it with an open mind, see what you're capturing, see what you're recording, and then, stack it up to the questions that you were asking and the facts and see if it works. Because I think if you go into an investigation with a closed mind or anger or fear or under an influence, which, nobody should do, you don't want to get drunk or anything else and just kind of wander into a environment like that and open doors of communication. But I do think a lot of what's in here will alter the investigation in some way.
Out of everything you have experienced over your decades of doing this, is there an incident that happened that you would love to happen again? It's only happened once, but you need more of it. You need that fix. It's still on your mind.
There is, and they may not seem, I guess, groundbreaking when I say it, but to me it was. There was an instance. Well, there's been several instances. One that happened recently at the museum. We had set up theater seating on the second floor, and a large screen and a projector and etc. And I was up there one night, and I was on FaceTime with a friend of mine from Chicago, and he's dealt with electronics for years, sold units like I had purchased, and I was kind of showing it to him, and he was saying, "Oh man, you can do this, and you can add these speakers, and that's a great system." And while we're talking, there's this huge crashing sound behind me. Instantly, I turned around and looked, and I thought, oh God, what display just tanked, or what just happened? So I'm looking around. I don't see anything. Nothing is out of place, so I'm just kind of quiet. And then behind me, I hear a knock. I turn around, and the whole time I have the phone. Then I hear another knock, and then another knock. And this goes on for, I don't know, maybe a minute. And whatever was doing it was knocking in a circle all the way around me. And then it stopped right as it closed that circle. And then right as I went to say something, there was one final right under my feet. And it's like, all you can do is be amazed by that. I know that doesn't maybe sound as grand as what somebody may expect, because I have seen some pretty intense things, but the consistency, the intelligence of whatever or whomever that was, it's just fascinating to me. It happened long enough for my friend to banter with me about it as I'm following the sound, and for him to run into another room where his wife was to make her watch and listen to what was happening. So it may have gone on more than a minute. I'm not sure. At that moment, I was just kind of more in shock that it actually was happening. But it's those moments, that you're not filming, you don't have a film crew, you don't have static cameras set up everywhere, but something was deliberately and intentionally communicating with you for whatever reason. And it's hard to not be intrigued and humbled by that. Because, again, you kind of think, well, if you could do that, what else could you do? And I'm thankful that you're not wanting to maybe push someone down the stairs or myself or, but it had that ability to just show me that, hey, I'm here. I'm having a little fun with you. And that's what it is. And I think that stuff is so intriguing.
Is there something out there? Let me reverse this then. Is there something out there you haven't experienced yet that would be on a highlight reel for you before you decide to retire from this field?
Yeah, I think so. Personally, I would love to witness the height, and from what I understand of a true poltergeist case, that incredible disbursement of energy typically lasts only about 3 to 4 days of extreme, things just flying across the room, sofas picking up, dropping. Very strange things happen during these super intense poltergeist phenomenon. And I've yet to actually have the honor, I guess, so to speak, to actually hear about one of those cases and get there in time to just see activity like that. Again, going back to the 70s, there was, using one of your words, a plethora of cases, that involve these extreme paranormal or poltergeist type phenomenon. And I would love to see it. I'm very fascinated by poltergeist activity. I'm fascinated that it does seem to be a human phenomenon. I think that's what intrigues me the most.
Do you also have an interest in the jinn then?
Yeah, I do. I definitely have interest in that. To me, I would think that would fall more along the lines of an inhuman, an ancient, and I definitely have a lot of interest in those cases. I don't run off and seek them. Sometimes you kind of leave that to the people that do it best. But unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, as a paranormal investigator, sometimes you do run into cases where you are dealing with an ancient. And for anybody that's out there that does investigate the paranormal, if you really believe you've come across something like that, stop and find the right people to bring in. Don't challenge these things. Don't ever provoke these things. Respect these things and bring in the right people.
We have just over 6 minutes to go with you tonight. And, I'm curious regarding your own ability, your own drive to do this. What's out there that's left? You've got your own museum, you've got your own television shows, you've got your own series, you've got your documentaries, you've had investigated hundreds of locations. What's next for you? Like, where do you see this going? How do you take the paranormal and keep it interesting?
Oh, that's definitely a good question. Let me. I don't know. Here's the way that we can relate to this topic. If I were to say to you, Dave, I mean, you've done how many shows and you've had how many guests? What keeps you wanting to continue to do it? And I think that the answer is kind of one and the same. You love it, and every time you talk to somebody, even though maybe it's along the lines of a same topic, it's something new. It's a different set of circumstances. It's a person. It's their story. It's what they've experienced. And I think that's what it is for me is, sure. I mean, when you get contacted by a family, I mean, definitely I can scan an email and see a lot of similarities to cases I've already done. But what's different is the home, the people that are living there, how it affects them. I think that there is a huge human element to hauntings that are very important. And realistically, at least in my documentaries, those people and the location tend to take center stage because I believe that they're the stars, so to speak. It's their story. It's what they're telling us. It's what they've experienced and their location. And I guess that part of it never really gets old is meeting new people and just trying to find ways to help them with what they're dealing with.
Is there a sentimental side to you? You know, we've all lost friends, we've all lost family, we've all lost our beloved pets. Is there a sentimental side for you that you go to do this maybe on your own private time to say, "Hey, grandma, you know, I'm doing great," or "Hey, grandpa, how's it going out there?" I do it, you know,
Yeah.
very quietly. How about yourself?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, when you asked me a little bit ago about, what do you do for protection, or Amanda Glenn had asked that question through you. That's kind of part of one of the things that I do. As odd as that sounds, is there'll be times that, in my mind anyway, I'm speaking to past family members or friends, and I'm not trying to say that I'm sitting there communicating with them with my mind, but I'm speaking to them in my mind. Um, I look at them to a degree as some of that protection when I'm going into a place, because I feel like when you go to a place, or if, like, even you and I right now, or if I came to your studio or you came to mine and we sat and we talked, sure, we're two human beings sitting down and having a conversation, but with that comes everything. It's your energy, it's my energy, it's your entire life, it's your belief system, it's all the baggage you have, good and bad and indifferent, as well as mine. And in some way, shape, or form, those energies are mixing. And I believe that we all kind of have our own aura around us of everything. So I feel that, in a way, those good things you can call upon in your mind, whether it be past loved ones or experiences or what you have your faith in, I believe is a form of protection. I do.
Do you do it? Or, you know, let me rephrase this as we're running out of time. You ever had that private conversation with someone you cared about and just got some missing answers?
Yeah, I do. I believe it's all in here, though. I mean, it's not something that I really sit and talk aloud to myself, but it's something that's cycling, through my mind at different times. Where I feel that there may be some kind of nudge or push from beyond that's helping you obtain the answers for somebody else, or can kind of help you along. Some people call that intuition, some people call things coincidence. We could go on, but I do think undoubtedly there is something greater that does surround all of us, and I think that our energy plays a big part of that.
Right on. Tell everybody within the next 90 seconds here where they can find your television shows, your documentaries, and everything you're working on, your museum, everything.
Sure. Well, I would say, mainly three different places. Haunted Saginaw, SAGINAW.com is the source for a lot of what I do, the museum, all my different films, and so much more. Again, hauntedSaginaw.com. Discovery Plus, you can search my name. Haunting of the Heartland will pop up. A few different shock doc, full length paranormal investigation documentaries will appear, or go on Amazon Prime streaming, type in my name, and there will be 10 different films there as well.
Love it, man. It has been just an absolutely interesting and stunning show. 45 seconds or less. Give your opinion to newbies into the paranormal who want to get into this. Give them your piece of advice.
Okay. I would say go into it with the purest heart and purest mind that you can. Be objective, be skeptical when you need to be, but again, have an open mind. But above all, do not go into something and provoke just to obtain evidence, because when you leave, the people that work there or the people that live there will have to deal with what you stirred up. At the end of the day, capturing evidence is awesome, but leaving things better than when you arrive there is more important. In the long run, you'll totally believe that.
Steve Shippy, I want to say thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. The absolute pleasure was all ours and our audiences for getting to listen to your experiences, your knowledge, and what you have coming. You're one of the good guys out there in the paranormal world. Please keep it on up. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller is coming on in, and then Robin McRae fills in for Super Duke on the Cryptid Report. Dave 101 as well. Spaced Out Radio's Hour 3 is next. Wonderful show, bud.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for
That was
having
awesome.
me. It was a
Give me
great
a
conversation.
clap there. Yeah, well, let's do it. We got to do it again once everything gets going here, man.
Yeah, I would love to be back for that. For sure. I'll make sure to reach out to you, and because
Please.
that's a case I'm so willing to crack open. And it's crazy that all that I told you is really just kind of the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, dude, you had me at the edge of my seat, man, and I wanted to keep going and going, but I knew I couldn't, So I appreciate that. We'll let you go get some sleep, and we'll talk soon, Steve.
Oh, I wish. I'm going to the museum for hours of work, but thank you so much.
Right on.
Okay.
Right on. Take care, man.
All right, Dave.
Take care. Good night. Steve Shippy, everybody. I'm going to take a break. Dirty Filth is going to come on in here and talk about his cartoon. And then we got Swamp Dweller and Robin McCrae coming up next. So we'll be back in a few minutes here. Take it away, Dirty Filth.
Thanks, Dave. I'm taking it away. Uh-oh. Ooh, it sounds like an echo. I hope it's not echoing. Oh, well. If it is, looks like Dave's going to have to deal with it. All right. What do we got there? Looks like some ghosts. Can move my water over so Whiskey doesn't spill it over again. Like the terrible cat that she is. If nobody's heard of Robin McCrae, she's absolutely awesome, and she's got some pretty good stories, and everyone is absolutely gonna it's gonna be good. Because Super Duke got abducted by Sasquatch Night. That's why he can't be here, I think. I just made that up right now. All right, we're drawing the door to room 13. Lucky 13, that's my number. But everybody always thinks it's bad luck, so you can just use it as a bad luck door. Of course, it's going to be in a rickety old haunted house and everything, so it's all banged up and whatnot, because how many gunslingers have been through those doors? I have no idea where this place is. But nonetheless, that's where Merle and Dave are. Oh, I gave away the secret. Right on, Stephanie Jackson. I know a plethora of people that were born on the 13th of certain months of the year. It's rather uncanny, actually. All right. Enough of the door frames. We can do the details later. We're going to go in here and ink up Merle. There he is. His flashlight. At least he hasn't been beaten up by any ghosts yet. Gets to wear an official Spaced Out Radio hat. It's going to have the button on top so you can go up and whack him in the dome with it. Remember when as a kid I had one of those hats that had the weird little button in the top, and someone came up and whacked me in the top of the head. That hurt. But Why would they even invent something like that? They just could stitch it all the way through. I don't know. It's not important. Nonetheless. Oh, there's Dave sneaking back in.
All right. All right. Looking good, Dirty Filth. I see
Thanks,
Robin
Dave.
McCrae in the background, hanging on out. She's looking lovely as usual. And Eva, how are you? If you have any ideas what I should talk about in the Dave 101, let me know in the chat room. I have some ideas right now, but I haven't solidified where I'm going with this yet.
What are you thinking about?
Well, I'm thinking about some UFO stuff. I'm thinking about some paranormal stuff, some cryptid stuff. I don't know.
Well,
There's a
you
lot
got
going on.
you got Robin McCrae to talk about all the
I
cryptid
know.
stuff. So
Hi, Noble Patrick. All right, 10 seconds. I'm going to get you to mute, Phil. Thank you, Jenny, Vaughn, Steve, Simon times 4, Ange, and Grant for the amazing super chats. Here we go, everyone.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Definians. Definians is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller joins us for another spooky story.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. Hey, Swamp Dweller. I know you're tired of reading stories about skinwalkers and other related things, so I decided to share a story I think you'll enjoy reading. Thanks so much if you choose to narrate it. Let's say I seem to have an incredible knack for encountering the supernatural. Late in December, I was going to visit my girlfriend's family for the holidays, so I could get introduced to her extended family. There was a snowstorm, so my family decided to stay behind and meet with me the next day. On the way to my girlfriend's hometown, I heard a loud thud on my car roof. I usually would dismiss it as a branch falling on my car or something, but this was unusually loud. As soon as the storm calmed down, I pulled over and checked out what had happened. To my surprise, I saw a significant dent on the roof of my car. As you can imagine, I was shocked and puzzled. With a touch of annoyance, considered that this would cost a lot to repair. Then I noticed a blood trail that led from the top of my roof into the woods. I grabbed a flashlight and a pistol, which I took with me just in case some thug tried to mug me or something, before heading into the woods. After following the blood trail, I saw some gigantic moth-like creature that was at least twice the size of myself. My entire body went pale white as soon as I saw this thing. I was too scared to raise my gun. As soon as it turned around in my direction, I fell back in fear, dropping my gun and flashlight, which still illuminated the creature. Oddly enough, though, it didn't attack. It just went back to trotting around. It seemed to be trying to treat its wound. I snapped out of my fear-induced trance and figured that if I helped this thing, maybe I could get on its good side, which in all honesty was a stupid move, but I'm alive, so I guess it doesn't matter. Now I ran back to the car trying to find my first aid kit inside that I took with me just in case anyone got hurt. I never thought I would use it to help a monster. I ran back to where I saw the creature only to find that it was gone, but it seemed like it had left a message clawed into the dirt.
Protect your ill or his life will be lost.
At first I was dumbstruck, but then I remembered that my girlfriend's grandfather was very sick. How on God's earth would this thing know that, though? Now that I think about it, maybe it wasn't an accident that it landed on my car. Instantly, I grabbed my flashlight and gun and ran back to my car at full speed. I was horrified and confused as to what had just happened. My mind was asking so many questions at once. What was that thing? Why did it write that warning? Why didn't it attack? My mind was so all over the place, I almost crashed twice, but eventually I did make it back to my girlfriend's house. When I saw her, she was as beautiful as ever, but that's beside the point. She saw that I was shaken up, and I was fearful of my face, before asking me what was wrong. I told her that if I told her she'd think I was crazy or messing with her, and she responded, "Well, I don't have a reason to think that now." So I told her what happened. Something odd happened when I told her, though. Instead of her laughing or telling me that I was the best liar she had ever talked to, she had the same horrified expression when I came across the creature. I asked her if she was okay. She snapped out of her horror-induced state, hugged me, and asked me what I knew about this creature. I didn't know much. I gave her the best description I could about what I saw, and she told me the legend about this thing called Mothman. It said that this thing is some sort of omen, a warning of downright terrifying things. It's said to show up around the time that natural disasters and other things happen. I then asked my girlfriend what we should do. She suggested that we keep this between us and keep in touch with her grandfather, which was hard to do consistently since he was in intensive care. But I agreed with her anyway. The next few days were uneventful regarding strange or downright terrifying things. I did hear branches snap a couple of times outside the guest room I was sleeping in, but in all honesty, that was probably just birds or squirrels or something like that. If it were a so-called Mothman, he would have made a lot more noise, I assume. I want to take a moment to mention that the next part of this story is not for the faint of heart. But if you're ready for it, then so am I. So on the third day I spent at my girlfriend's house, we got a call from one of her grandfather's caretakers urging my girlfriend and her parents to come to the hospital as quickly as possible. I offered to go with them, and since there was no time to waste, they agreed and took me in their car. When we reached the hospital, the doctor took us to the room where my girlfriend's grandfather was being taken care of, and I immediately regretted coming in when I saw it. His heart had ripped out of his body, and his ribcage was showing. I felt so weird, like I was about to cry and throw up simultaneously. But I somehow held my stomach together. Afterward, I had so many questions. Part of me wanted to hunt down whoever did this. I am uncomfortable sharing how I felt in extended detail because honestly, I was just distraught. I will, however, share something that happened after Christmas. So after my girlfriend paid for my car repairs, bless her soul, I was heading back to my family's house when suddenly I saw something flying overhead. Something huge. I immediately pulled over and ran after it, which might have been a stupid move, but again, I'm alive. I ended up at the same spot I encountered the Mothman the first time, and wouldn't you know it, there he was on a vast branch looking at me. I was shaking in my boots, but I also had a sense of anger in me. I asked the creature a straightforward question. Did you kill him? The beast looked away and down onto the ground. It had a look on its face that resembled sorrow. Before I could ask him another question, it flew away, leaving behind a few feathers from its massive wings. I never thought to pick one up, though. I should have. As you can imagine, I had so many questions and so did my girlfriend. The police were never able to find who or what did it. Do I blame the creature for this? Not really. After researching the Mothman, it doesn't seem like a creature that kills humans. Whatever this thing was, I hope it's still alive.
We say thank you to Swamp Dweller for another spooky story and a terrifying tale that he shares with us from his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. And go hit subscribe on his channel. If you love weird, strange stories like that, Swamp Dweller is the place to go. youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. All right. We have the Cryptid Report coming up, and filling in for Super Duke, we have Robin McCrae coming on in, the Sasquatch Psychic. Good evening, Robin. How you doing?
I am good. Glad to see you. It's been a while.
You are one of my favorite people in this field, and I got to tell you, when Duke's like, hey, do you mind if I call Robin? Robin would like to fill in for me one night. I'm like, hell yeah, we need Robin in here. Definitely. I hear you. Go ahead.
I love your show. Like, whenever I can stay awake late enough, I watch it. I just love it. And I just adore you. I think you just have the best energy.
Thank
and you
you.
get some of the most amazing guests on here. I love it.
Well, that's a credit to my booking team of Dirty Filth and Spookles the Cat. They are incredible when it comes down to it, and I really appreciate the love that you show us on a nightly basis here, Robin. Robin, I have to ask you, because I've been meaning to call you. We're now about 6 weeks into our gifting site, and I'm going back this weekend. I did not go back last weekend or the weekend before, just on purpose. But I'm curious, as someone who communicates with Sasquatch, are my guys still there?
They are. You have a couple of them that have wandered off. I mean, we have to remember they have their own lives, guys. You know, they don't, and they're not migrating. They don't do that, but they do have business that they attend to. And, you know, a couple of them have wandered off, but the kids and the adult females and some of the males are still there. And we talked about it. We talked about it before. When you gift, depending on the clan, some of them will take it very easily. I had groups in Michigan that it didn't matter what I gave them, they took it. Toys, food, whatever, they took it. And I've had other groups that would thank me profusely for the gesture because that's what matters to them. And then they would leave me a gift in exchange, but they would never take what I left them. And then I had some that would just thank me, but never take it. So it just depends on the clan that you have. But yeah, they're still there.
All right. I'm curious, though. What am I missing? What are we missing when we go there and nothing has changed?
Well, like I said, they're really cautious. And you have some clans that are excessively cautious. You know, we have never been kind to them. I mean, we have different individuals that habituate them and have been kind in that manner. But for the most part, our people just really suck when it comes to them. So when they take being cautious to a whole new level. I know people that have worked in the same area for years before they got that trust, where they had an ongoing relationship with them. It just really depends. Where I'm now in South Carolina, I'm currently moving back to Michigan. I'm in Michigan for 2 weeks. Yay! And the ones in South Carolina, 5 years in, will come up to my house, will stand outside my window and chatter. They will look in the window. They will bring stuff and leave it all over the place for me. You know, they'll try to get in the garage to play with the animals. I can't get them to take anything. They'll ask me for things. They actually sent me out of my house to get turmeric and ground ginger at 8:30 at night because it was an emergency. They had to have it. And then they don't take it. But then they're exceptionally grateful for the fact that I did these things. So it really comes down to the clan, the rules that are being enforced by that clan, and just good old fashioned time.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. You know, when I go to the gifting site, I try and park in the same place. I try and do everything the same to see, you know, because I want patterns. I want them to get used to the patterns. I want them to get used to everything that it has gone on up until that point. I even try and similarly wear the same clothing just so that way they could see. You know, when we are there, Do they sense before we get there that we are coming? Do they
Absolutely.
know? Okay. And how do
Mhm.
they know?
Because once they've had interaction with you, even if it's not the amount of interaction that you might per se want, but they've actually like, kind of locked onto you, because they're telepathic, they keep an eye on you from that point. You've been in their area. They know you've been in their area. So now they're going to keep an eye on you, and they know your intent. They know what you're doing before you know what you're doing. So they are well aware of it. Now, Super Duke tonight is at his area of research, which is absolutely wonderful. And he had me communicate with the ones there on what gifts they wanted. So every time now, before he goes up in the mountains, I talk to the clan he's going to go meet, and he goes grocery shopping for them. It's great. And they love it. But you have to remember, he's been going there for quite some time. He's got 2 areas, and this one he hasn't been to in a while, but he has been there. It's that pattern of repetition. They don't want you to know what they're going to do at any given time, but by golly, you're doing exactly the right thing. You are actually farther ahead than a lot of people, because they want the consistency. They want to know what you're doing. They want to know what you're going to do, because in their head, that means you're not trying to trap them. So
Right.
everything you're doing is correct.
Well, you know what? We need to hopefully get some action. I'm dying to have action at a gifting site once again. It's been a number of years since I've been able to see one, and we're going 9 years, and I am just at the point where I just really, really want to see one again, and just have that interaction.
Well, when I got here, I came to Michigan for 2 weeks for a couple of reasons. One is I was shooting a film, and I was asked to participate in. And then I also had some family things I needed to take care of, and I had other areas in Michigan and I wanted to go out. But we went to this area, and I have night vision goggles, the Igor Borsteff and I got, and I went out there and I turned around, and there was one sitting like 15 feet from me, just sitting there staring at me. Like, I saw every single part of it. And the reason I'm telling you about this is we learned something that I have suspected for a long time, and they finally gave me confirmation on it. We had people that had the thermal cams. And I said, listen, I said to the group, I'm like 10, 15 feet from this being, and I'm looking at its eyes. I can see the brow ridge. I can see everything. Okay. The hair, everything. And it's sitting there, and it just kind of went into stealth mode, like it was frozen solid. And they came over there, but they could not get it on the thermal. And I said, I'm not looking at a shadow. I'm not looking at a blurred vision. This was like crystal clear. I could see every hair and the batting of the eyelashes and that type of thing. So I was able, because I read energy, sometimes I kind of come in handy because I can find where they're at. And I said, okay, there's another one. And I pointed where, and he had given me his name. So I gave him the name. I said, take the thermal over there. So they did, and they got him on thermal immediately. They were shocked, but they did. And he was walking around. But one of the girls that were there, it was actually her property. She got something that she could see, and it also with eyes, and that had crouched down low. They could not pick it up on the thermo either. And so I asked them, I said, why is it sometimes we can get you and read your body heat, but I can't do it all the time? And they said, we put up a shield. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but we have had other situations, myself and a friend of mine and my husband, that we work on this stuff, where that has actually happened. And we've told them, you have to drop the shield down. Like when I do healing on them, sometimes that energy is so hard to get through. And I'll say, bring down that shield. But I never dreamt it would stop a thermocam. And apparently it does. And so we did get thermal images, but not on all of them. And they were walking around, like visibly walking around, and we just could not get them always on the thermal. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's kind of something new.
That is very interesting news, because when we had our barbecue out there, we sat out there one night. The last time we were out there, we sat out there one night, and we were just built a fire in a nice safe spot, away from the forest, away from the gifting site. We got nothing. But the one thing that we did learn was that you can get those silver safety blankets,
Mhm.
that shut off the sun, keep your heat. Using them actually blinds a thermal camera.
That's amazing.
So you could hold one up and you will not see your body. The thermal camera goes blue.
I even called Pat and my husband and I said, listen, I know which ones I'm asking about it. I'm not going to tell you what they told me. You ask our guys and let me find out, because he's really good at telepathy. He got the exact same answers from everyone in the clan that we normally deal with that I was getting. And he's in South Carolina about this shield. So I think there's something to it, just like with what you were talking about. It blocks it. That energy shield, it has to, because I've had people tell me that they're trying to get them on thermal and they can physically see them and they're not showing up, but then other times they do. We had several that showed up on thermal, but I had that one and I was 15 feet up from it, got absolutely nothing. And the girl who owns the property, she went and saw something drop down to the ground. She saw the eye shine. She saw the movement. Whether or not it was a Bigfoot doesn't even matter, because it was something that was moving and it had eyes. It should have been picked up on the thermal, but you couldn't get it. And they flat out said it was one of their people, but that they put up shields because we only had like 4 or 5 people there. But that was what they said. And then right after that, I turned around and there was just this massive Bigfoot standing there, right, not far from me at all. I mean, closer than the other one was. And I hollered to the producer to come look at it. And as he came to look through the goggles, it started walking down and went behind this pine brush. And he saw it once it got down there, and he was able to get some footage of the eye shine and it moving back and forth between the trees.
Well, that night that we were there for the barbecue, we did not get any action until about 10 minutes before we decided we were going to pack up.
Oh, wow.
But the problem is, in that area, we got no eye shine, no sounds except a little bit of heavy breathing from the bush line. But in that area, there's a lot of moose, there's a lot of wolves, there's a lot of cats, a lot of bears.
Yeah.
And we couldn't decipher what was making the noise. We got no eye shine, nothing. Just the odd.
Well, what did you put out? Do you have peanut butter out?
We don't put food out.
Okay.
We don't put food out just because our animals there's too many sorts of animals out there that there's no way. Yeah, it would be silly for us to do it. Now, that being said, at our original gifting site where we got chased out in 2018 by the 2 Sasquatch, we finally were able to get back to that gifting site after over a year, and everything was destroyed. Everything.
Have you ever heard of the Tibetan singing bowls?
Yes.
For whatever reason, that chime noise, when you use them, they absolutely love it. And I have always gotten a good response. Does that mean everybody will all the time? No, but they do love it. In fact, I was going to take it when I came here to Michigan for this film, and I walked off and left it at home. So I'm sitting there in the middle of the woods, and I looked it up on YouTube, and I was playing it off my phone in YouTube, and I had one come up to the truck. I mean, he was, probably, I don't know, 5-10 feet away from the truck, and he was sitting down behind a tree looking at me. But they seem to like him. What I would try with that group, because of the situation with the food, and you're right, you absolutely can't put it out because of the other animals, but I would just do the bonfire. They like laughter. They like music. They like the singing bowl. Do all of these things. Don't chase them. Let them come to you, because you end up building a better relationship with them. They don't like to be chased. And because of all the things our people have done, everything we do, they seem to think they're being hunted. So let them come to you. When they think that they're in control, you get a lot farther. I would cook food over the open fire. I would have the bonfire there. I would, play music. You don't want a hard music. You want, something upbeat, but something fairly, easy for them. And laugh, talk.
We will. Robin, a quick one tonight, but we will have you back on very soon. Robin McRae, you hold on. Coming up next, Dave 101, Shirky Poo's News. Final half hour of Space Down Radio is next. Daytime or nighttime?
Actually, you can do it either time. They had me, and they were out there wanting me to do it at night, which I did. This light keeps going on and off. Ever since I came out here to do this. I've done it during the day. I've done it at night. I've had more visual sightings during the day, to be honest with you. But now, like when we were out there the other night, there was like 6 or 7 out there walking around, and some we were getting on thermal, and some of them they had the shield up, so we couldn't. But the ones we couldn't get on thermal, I was getting them on the night vision. Like I could not believe how close they were to me. I could feel the energy from them. But it was like feeling the energy and then putting the night vision goggles on and turning and looking and going, oh, now I have to go 3 to 4 feet above my head to see the face.
Right.
And they weren't aggressive at all. They just stood there staring at me. But I was amazed at the detail because they were so close. The detail on those night vision glasses, it was not shadowed at all. It was literally like they were standing right there. But I've done it at night. Nighttime's fine. We used to do that all the time when I was living here, previously. And you'd see eye shine while we're all sitting at the campfire. I mean, just nothing but rows of eye shine. And it takes a while. The group that you're working with is actually kind of shy. Like even when they talk to me, but they're cautious. They're extremely cautious. And I don't know if there's been other groups that have been in there or what the deal is, or if they're not used to people. But they seem to be a decent group at this point. I haven't picked up anything, that's nasty coming through there, but they're going to make you work for it. They're definitely going to make you work for it.
I can tell. I can tell.
Put it in their hands and let them come to you, because, everybody goes out because they want to see them, and I don't blame them. Every time you see them, it's like the first time, but you always do better. Let them come to you. Go out during the day and look at structures and look for footprints and that kind of stuff. But you're not going to find, you can't get good photos of structures at night, and you can't find a lot of footprints at night. And so use that for your time to do that bonfire close to where structures are, or close to where they are, even the gifting area. In an area that they're going to be, cop a squat, have a fire, enjoy your night, and do that repeatedly enough so that they know the consistency. They know what to expect from you. And they'll come. Yes. Don't do the whoop calls. Those whoop calls everybody does, and they respond. You'll get a response from them. You don't know what you're saying. You really don't. And so you don't know that you're making them upset because they think that there's a strange Sasquatch in their territory. You don't know what you're saying to them.
I do, on recommendation from one of my First Nations friends, I do drum my First Nations blessed drum that I have.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely wonderful. They love that.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I would recommend that 20 times a day, because I had a friend of mine that had a buffalo skin drum, and he came out to our property, and it was dead of winter. And we went out in the back field and just sat down on a fallen log in the snow. I had my kids with me at the time, and he played the drum, and we had so much activity. They love it. And they love the singing bowl. That chime to that singing bowl. I was in Nebraska, and we had gone out, and we camped out overnight, and I played that singing bowl, and I had 2 or 3 of them just come right out of the woods and stand right out in the open and let me see them.
Beautiful. All right, Robin, we're going to let you head off to bed here, or film, whatever you're doing. And
you take care.
Much love to you, my friend.
You take care, sweetheart. Love you.
Love you too.
God bless.
You too. Thank you
Bye-bye.
for filling in. Bye-bye.
Anytime.
Take care. Isn't she awesome? She's just awesome. Dirty Filth, you're awesome too.
Robin's, you know what? I'd buy her pizza. She's awesome. Totally. 100%. When Duke got me in touch with her, that was the coolest thing. Her and I talked for like 3 hours. First time she phoned me. I thought it was going to be like, hey, yeah, I'll come on the show. But it was like, nope. Here's this entire life story. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. But anyways, I got to draw cartoons.
That thing's looking pretty good. Is this a Merle cartoon? He put me on mute.
I put myself on mute. It's Merle and Dave Investigations Part 1.
Oh my. Excuse me. Oh my. All right, buddy. We're going to come back here in about 30 seconds. So thank you to Simon, and Simon, Ozzy Ange, Grant, Steve, Vaughn, and the gorgeous Jenna for the lovely super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's hit that thumbs up. We're 3 away from 100. Can we get to 100 tonight? I would appreciate it. Really would. It really helps with our algorithms. Don't forget after the show to leave a comment as well if you don't mind. That helps with the algorithms too. Here we go, everyone. Rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where I get my hackles up. It's Dave. What a one time.
It's time for Dave 101.
We're going to go a little paranormal tonight on Dave 101 because about a week ago, I actually helped out with a television documentary that's going to be coming out here in Canada about the Gold Rush Trail and the hauntings and the spirits to tell the story. It was an incredible experience. It was a fun experience. And it was nice to be able to see behind the scenes of what they do, how they do it, how they produce it, you know, the takes, the retakes, and everything that goes along with it. It was really a first time for me to see this happen. And the one thing that I really admired about the filming was that they are doing it almost live to tape. Now, the group that was doing this, they had every piece of gear possible. Dozens of cameras, motion detectors, ovuluses, and K2 meters, and absolutely everything that went along with it. And it also all of a sudden got me thinking, we're on our YouTube channel, we do this little ditty called The Angry Ghost Hunter. And I started looking into this a little bit more because a lot of times these big time paranormal investigators, they're like, stay away from certain gear, stay away from this, stay away from that, stay away from any phone apps or whatever. And over that time of that show, we have debated a lot of technology. Now, people like Ross Allison, our good friend Merle, Jacob Rice, and many others will say, hey, the only gear you really need is a good camera, a good video camera, something that can record audio, and your own intuition. That's it. You don't need the FLIRs. You don't need the fancy tricorders. You don't need it all. But for some reason, a lot of these ghost hunters feel they need to go and they need to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on all of this equipment. Bring in all of these cases and cases and cases that look like it should be, you know, somebody that's carrying millions of dollars in briefcases into locations, opening them up, and they are filled with gear, cameras, battery packs, you name it. But here's the thing. criticism aside from everything, I'm going to give you my 2 cents, if it's worth anything. If you're a ghost hunter or a wannabe ghost hunter or a casual ghost hunter or a weekend warrior, keep your money. Keep your money, especially if you're using phone apps. You may think you're having results on phone apps, but in reality, it's a computer program, which means there's algorithms and words that are tied to everything that you are saying. That's not paranormal. That's coincidence. But on the flip side of this all, what if a lot of this equipment that paranormal people use work for certain people, but will not work for others? Think about it for a second. I will give you an example. My good friend Bill Hauser, he strictly and specifically ghost hunts with a spirit box. Not one on his phone, but different spirit boxes that have been created through old radios and can believe to have communication, hearing the spirits talk in the other realm behind FM or AM radio signals. Now, I have seen this work with Bill. I've been confused and befuddled other times. For instance, when we were investigating Flight 21, Canada's largest mass murder, you could look it up, back on July 8th, 1965, a plane blew up in the sky. There was a bomb on the plane, killing all 52 people. And when we were investigating out in that area where there's not a lot of radio signal, we were able to catch a name come through on the spirit box. And when we checked that name on the victim's list, sure as heck, her name was on there. Is that coincidence? Or is that real time? I've also had personal experience with this where our good friend, Bill Hauser, asked the spirit box if I could take a couple pop cans from the site. He said, indeed, he would ask. And of course, that came through, and I was allowed to bring 2 cans home. They are sitting in the studio right now. See, the thing with the paranormal is you have 2 sides to it. You have the investigative side right now that literally will cover anything. They just want to be out there. They want to be investigating. They don't care about the results. They don't care what gear they use. They just want to have fun. And that is wonderful. But you get the more serious people who have serious questions, trying to figure out serious answers to the paranormal. And they get a little nitpicky. Granted, they've been doing it a lot longer. They've been doing it a lot more than than most of their counterparts. They're trying to find answers to some of life's hardest questions. How does a ghost touch a person? How does a ghost react to people, to smells, to scents, to sound, to light? How do they react to people? What about people who are calling them out? Well, how do they react to the gear? Do they even care for the gear? Why would they care for the gear if back in the 17, 18, 1900s, even the early 2000s, most people didn't even know what that gear was? I am a firm believer that the piece of equipment that you use will either work for you or it won't. Most of the big name people, they hate the K2 meter. What is a K2 meter? It is a little handheld object that basically is a stud finder. It can pick up energy from copper wiring. It can pick up energy from phone lines, everything. But if you're out in the middle of the forest and this thing goes off, or you're in a building where there's very little electricity and it goes off, that tells me something. It may work for me. Just like Bill Hauser's ghost box, I have a ghost box. Does it work for me? Not a bloody chance. All I hear is of the frequencies going backwards. For Bill, this thing lights up like a Christmas tree. So what I'm saying to the paranormal people out there is this. What doesn't work for you doesn't mean it won't work for anybody else. You have to be able to understand and comprehend that part of this mystery is that we don't know what's going on. We don't know what you're going to do to trigger them and what I'm going to do that triggers them. We're two different people, two different attitudes. The way we carry ourselves is different. Could be that spirits are more invested in who we are and what we're about rather than the gear we are using. And if the spirits can see that we are using this gear to try and communicate with them and explain to them how to use it, well, it doesn't matter what gear is in your hands, it will work for you. But in the paranormal field, that's wrong. We need to spend thousands of dollars, SLS cameras, all sorts of it, night vision, FLIR cameras, whatever you want. We need to be able to use it. We need to be able to prove ourselves to be better, to get that evidence, even though the chances of us doing anything with that evidence are slim to none, and Slim is already walking out the door. This is another one of those reasons why I laugh at the paranormal. You get so many people there who are taking this so seriously. It's like watching people play soccer and they're actually taking it seriously. I get a good laugh out of that. No, I'm not a soccer fan. And they're taking it seriously while they're out on investigation. And the lights are going off on the millimeter. But there's no recognition to the mosquitoes, the moths, or any other little crazy bug-infested creature that has wings flying by it, setting it off. Because you know what happens when a machine has lights on it? It attracts bugs. And if you have an antenna like a millimeter sticking out of it, making all that woo, woo type sound, that's how it does sound. Woo, 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 woo. Yeah, if you've ever been around one, you'll know. You'll know. All right. You might want to look for proper explanation before you claim it as ghostly. That's all I'm saying. I think that the paranormal can do better, but it just keeps tripping over its own feet. And I'm talking clown shoes here. Very few want to solve any of the mysteries. Even fewer want to test out their own routes, find different locations, find out the gear that works for them. No, they're just going to go out there, hammer it, then go home. It's almost like playing in a slow pitch tournament where you think you're actually playing baseball, and it's fun, trust me. I played for 17 years. But when it comes down to it, you're still paying to play. It still hurts when you get injured because we're not all good in shape. And it's still costing money to take off time from work to go for a weekend. Ghost hunting is the exact same way. And we need to do better. The paranormal crowd first off, has a couple of issues it needs to deal with. Number one, outside of the gear, they need to figure out what the hell they're actually doing. What are you trying to solve? And hey, there is no problem with going out and being a weekend warrior. No problem whatsoever. I do it. My friends say, hey, do you want to go out on a ghost investigation? Sure. I know I'm not trying to solve anything. I know I'm not good enough or qualified enough to do that. But I go, try to have a conversation with the ghost. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from? How you been? How old are you? Do you remember the last day you saw on a calendar? What's the weather like where you are? Not, how did you die? Right? It's not the way it's done. So paranormal people, pull up your socks, put your batteries away, get the simplification going. Don't worry about all the fancy lights, but find what works for you and enjoy yourself. Because right now there's not enough enjoyment in the world, and we need more time to enjoy what we do. That is your Dave 101. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're on YouTube, do us a favor. Give us a thumbs up on this or thumbs down. Let me know what you think. Your opinion is important. Let's get to Shirky Poo's news.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirky Poo's news!
All right, let's get right to it. How'd you like to be this guy in the Ukraine? Incredible footage shows a Ukrainian man going up to his sink and having a shave, trimming his beard, brushing his teeth. Now, that doesn't sound too interesting, though, unless you put the fact that there is a Russian rocket that came through his ceiling and is now embedded in the wall and flooring of the bathroom. In the footage, the guy can be seen just having a normal day. Life goes on after all, except he does have an armed warhead chilling in his home. Yeah, the footage was uploaded to Reddit. The man shows off the hole in his ceiling where the undetonated rocket entered. He doesn't seem too fussed about it, though. But, you know, I wouldn't be going in there just in case it did blow up. One user said, bro, I won't go into my bathroom if there's a spider and this man's shaving with a rocket. Like, literally, you can see the whole rocket sticking out of the tile floor. Oh, the life we weave. A second person commented, honestly, that would make a pretty awesome lamp once it calms down, provided that it still doesn't have a live warhead attached. A third said, who the F do you call about this? For many, the rocket wasn't the big issue. Instead, they were asking why on earth this man has what looks to be a bathroom sink and mirror in his kitchen. One user said no one else is wondering why a bathroom sink and mirror is next to the kitchen stove. A second added, I found this more confusing than the rocket. Thankfully for the bloke, it seems that officials have stopped by his home to make sure everything is safe, and apparently he could keep the rocket. Moving on, the word the or the is the single most common word in the English sentence. In every body of text written in English, roughly 5% of the words will be the or the. So it's safe to say it's a very common word. And now it's been trademarked by the Ohio State University. Although the university doesn't exactly own the word, they now have the exclusive right to use it commercially, at least on sports apparel. The has become a popular slogan for OSU's college football team, the Ohio State Buckeyes, or around here, the Doug Shelby. That's right. The team players proudly declare that they are from the Ohio State University, with the article pronounced as the. According to their registration certificate from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, OSU can control how the word "the" is used on clothing, namely t-shirts, baseball caps, and hats. All of the foregoing being promoted, distributed, and sold through channels customary to the field of sports and collegiate athletics. Not only that, the trademark doesn't concern any specific logo style, simply the successive letters T, H, and E. The mark consists of standard characters without claim to any particular font, style, or color. Interesting. OSU's trademark of the word "the" has been a long time coming. The school originally applied for the trademark 3 years ago in 2019. Moving on. The Doug Shelby. That's right. Flows off the tongue nicely. All right, where'd this story go? Interesting. Okay, here we go. Here in Canada, a traveler on an Alberta highway captured video when she claimed or came across an unusual traffic hazard: a bison running loose on the roadway. Kira Boudelier said she was on her way to visit friends in Stony Plain when she spotted a large animal on Highway 16 near Highway 779. The people coming west, they were all slowed down, and I'm like, I'm just confused, Boudelier said. Then she says, I see this giant like buffalo bison thing. I thought it was a moose at first, and then it started running into my lane. Boudelier captured the video of the bison running out of the median and crossing 3 lanes of traffic to reach a field at the side of the highway. I was so confused, she said. I didn't even realize there was bison close to here. I was so random. I've been driving at night. I've seen moose, but to see a bison, I'm like, where the hell did that come from? The origins and ultimate fate of the bison are unclear. An elusive bison was recently captured after 8 months on the loose in Illinois. Lake County Forestry Preserves officials said the female bison, variously named Tyson the bison and Billy the bison, was captured in late May and put back into the wild. And you know what? That's all we got for you tonight. Thank you, Shirky Poo, for the news. Thank you to Swamp Dweller, Robin McRae filling in for Super Duke, and Steve Shippy. We're talking paranormal all night long. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Blue Train has docked for the night. And soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. All right. Thank you for a great show. Thank you for a great show. I'm going to clarify a couple things in the chat room. Commonwealth Andrew, booting someone for using a racist term is not woke. Okay, Dave has not gone woke. Dave never goes woke. Dave doesn't believe in woke. So if you want to trigger Dave, call him woke again. But we sure as fuck will not tolerate someone being called a really horrible racist word in our chat room. My chat room is not a democracy. It's a Daveocracy. It is Daveunism. And everybody, including the guests, have a safe place in our chat room. So to call me woke for banning a dude for using a real bad expletive to our guest is not woke. You may want to look that up in the dictionary. So if you want to trigger me, I'm triggered right now. All right? You probably didn't mean to, but I'm triggered right now because I will not put up with racial connotations being allowed in our chat room at any time. I don't care if it's been a listener who's been here for years or if it's somebody brand new. We don't play that game. Okay? I hurt for it too. I liked him. I still like him. He made a mistake. Okay? He did. Haven't heard from him. He has my email. Okay? That's just the way it is. Right? But anything racial or sexual in regards to bugging somebody about their sexuality, not going to fly here. Not going to fly here at all. Ever. And that's not being woke. All right? Try living in a country with Trudeau. Okay? I don't wish that upon anybody. Okay? That's being realistic and being caring for humanity. So but Andrew, we're not, I understand. Andrew says, I get that, but you should have tried to call him out. I can't stop the show, dude. We're not a podcast. I can't stop a radio show to say, hold on, radio audience, while I deal with my chat room. Can't do that. My hands are tied. All right. And that's, my mods didn't catch it, and they're not going to catch everything. But I caught it, and I had to deal with it because I'm not going to keep that type of bullshit in my chat room. Nothing to do with wokeism. Nothing. Where the hell did my download go? Seriously. Where the hell did my download go? Oh, son of a Google's nest. See, you made me lose my download now. All right, let's do it again. There it is. Let's stop that one. Cancel. And we'll do this one right here. Show all. There we go. Drop it in there. Oh, wrong button. Wrong button. So let me tell you what I went through personally because of that. Because of that little shenanigan that was pulled. I had good people contact me explaining how they were highly embarrassed for SOR because somebody acted that way. I had people, okay? You can ask Duke Sullivan this. I almost broke down because of that. I have never, ever in my life seen that happen. No, we didn't cancel it, Andrew. See, this is where you're wrong. We didn't cancel it. All right? Canceling is totally different from what we did. Totally different. He crossed the line on one of the rules that we have for the chat room. And that is immediate gone. He knew the rules. Everybody knows the rules. It's not canceling. That's us saying, if you want to be here in this Daveocracy, okay, you play by the rules that are there. Okay? If I went over to your house and decided to drop a deuce on your couch, most likely you're going to smack me for it, because that's not in your house rules to allow people to take a shit on your couch. Okay? Or what if I just decided to come over to your place, Andrew, and break your take one of your SGs, your prize SGs, and slam it on the cement? Well, it's not written in the house rules. Would you kick me out of your house? Probably. I didn't confront it because this is not a podcast. What part of this are you not getting? We are not a podcast. We are a live radio show that goes live to tape in order to fulfill our role as a syndicated radio show. I cannot stop the show to say, hold on, audience in Radioland, I got to deal with a racist comment in my chat room. We'll be right back. I can't do that. Okay? What I have to do is, while I'm talking and when the guest is talking, is to get rid of the comment and get rid of the person. Right? I have a business to run, dude. This isn't something I do for fun. This is a business here. Everything that happens reflects on my business. All right? If you want to pay me, okay, and there is no justification. Here's the other part. There is no justification to what he said. He blatantly called our guest the N-word. There's no justification for that. Okay? And I shouldn't even have to defend it, dude. Still going to come poop on your couch, but that's another day. Okay? I have never in my life, I'm 49 years old, dude. Okay? I'm 49 years old, and maybe I've been living in a shell for most of my life. Okay? But I have never, ever seen shit like that before. Ever. And I broke down to Duke afterwards. Okay? Not on my watch, man. Not on my watch. And Barry Littleton is one of the coolest dudes and nicest dudes in this field. Okay? But I'm tired of the antics. Tired of the antics. I know what caused it. Okay? I haven't talked to him, but it's obvious what caused it. I'm going to keep that to myself because that's between me and my team. Okay? But it's easy to know what caused it. We dealt with it. We got it done. And, hopefully Barry will want to come back one day. He's a smart man. He's an educated man. Most importantly, he's a good man. Any other questions? I know you don't, Andrew. I know you don't. I understand, brother. I understand the point that you were trying to make. Okay? I do. And I want to show respect for you back for that. Okay? I'm not mad at it. It's just a heated conversation for me because that listener embarrassed my company. Okay? And I'm still stunned that it happened. Philippa, I do my own hair. I would let you comb it, though. I would. Magnetic universe, I'm never shown that much clarity. I will say this, though. There is I'm going to bring it up here. Give me 1 second. All right, sorry. Did we do 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Bear with me, people. I'm going to find something here for you. And if this is true, this is one of those holy shit type of movements. Just give me a couple seconds here. Where is this thing? Here. Here. This was posted on Reddit about 8 hours ago. It says, I don't expect anybody to believe this or take me seriously. The information I'm presenting below is coming to me third party. However, this person has never missed on point before. I have it on good authority that the New York Times is working on a story which was leaked directly to them by a contractor of the NRO. And this gets a little bit more interesting. All right, you ready? Okay, this is what it says. According to the info being given to me, an NRO satellite lost communication for several hours. When it came back online, it sent a data dump which contained telemetry that showed the satellite had been pulled out of Earth's orbit, shut down, and then returned to its original location. Current guesses are that the Chinese or Russians actually captured the satellite, copied its programming, and everything else they could get, and then let it go. The New York Times is supposedly going to break this story in about 4 weeks. Not sure what they are waiting on, but this is absolutely a thing. So I had a gentleman, I'm going to keep him quiet, his name quiet, who stated to me that this story is true and that the NROs, from what he had learned, and this is from a scientist who's highly involved in the field. And you know my sources have been good before. He says, bigger than, we were talking about something else, and he goes, bigger than a New York Times story on aliens capturing an NRO satellite, taking it out of the solar system, completely overwriting its computer systems, then dropping it off back where they found it, all in a span of, get this, 2 hours. How do you feel about that? Trippy, eh? Yeah. Imagine if that's true. I'm going to be looking into this tomorrow. Grantavius lipbladimus. Definitely swamp gas, Black Dragon. Definitely swamp gas. You guys chat away. I'll be right back. I'm going for a pee. Hey, Blue Cruise. All right. Sorry about that. Give me 2 seconds here. Oh no, where the hell did I put them? Is it going here? Oh no. No, they didn't go in there. Where the hell did they go? Oh, right there. Okay. Ooh, that was scary. Almost done. All right. There we go. I stood, Andrew. I stood. Hey, Kawhi, how are you? Wallet Moth, thanks for coming on in. All right, there we go. Let's see what's happening in Africa. Shall we? Shall we see what's happening in Africa? What the hell is that? Oh, here we go. Over here, we got a couple of oryxes. Right about here. Tombstone, thank you for that awesome super chat. Appreciate that. All right, Bomber. Bring it down a little bit. Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down. right. God damn, I can't stand those birds. All right, yeah. They're gone. Let's go find something else here. Where's our live? All right, let's go to Oliphant's River, see if there's any hippos today. Any hippos? Is that an alligator down there? Looks like it could be an alligator down there. Wish they would zoom in. I want to see that crocodile. River's gone down, though, because the other day, about a week ago, that island was underwater. I think we do have a crocodile right here. See the tip of its nose, its eye, the tail, back leg. Does that look like a crocodile to anybody else? All right, let's go to a different one. Oh, wildebeest. Look at those ugly souls. Give me 1 second here. So I think these are done. Oh, no more wildebeests. It's Rosie's pan. Let's go to Rosie's pan. Oh, here we go. Come on. Look at all that elephant poop. What do we got here? Panning slowly. Oh, no. No python on the tree. Give us something, Rosie's pan. Come on. Hey, Black Dragon. You said yesterday you have website background. Nothing. Nothing at Rosie's pan. Except elephant poop. Mmm. Could you rekindle some of that magic, Black Dragon? Let's see where we going here. Rocco. Of course, there's nothing there. Let's go to Cat Eye. Nothing going to be there either. There's never anything here. Gosh darn it. Oh, look at that crocodile. Sleeping away in the sun. All right, that's enough there. Ah, there we go. Look at those beauties. It's quite lush and green there. They're brown because they rolled around in the mud to keep the bugs and the heat off. Oh, you even got a baby in there. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Two babies. Well, it's that time of the night where I want to say a big thank you to Tombstone, Jenny, Vaughn, Steve, Simon times 4, Ange, and Grant for the amazing super chats tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. I got to get to bed. I got to get my little guy up for school in the morning. And this is his final Friday of grade 3. So I kind of want to be there for that. He goes to school right till Wednesday. And we're going to go hang out with him, and he's going to give out his birthday invitations for his party the following week. So we will talk to you all tomorrow night. I very much appreciate it. And our guest tomorrow night is the Round Table. It's a round table. I'll bring in some friends, hang out, have a good time, and we'll rock it on out. So you guys take care, and we'll see you all on tomorrow night. Okay? Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.